What is that?
Mikey wrote it for us from Boreworm.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. A Boreworm
That's our
original.
intro.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow.
It's cool, too.
So yeah, welcome everybody, and welcome,
That's cool.
Jason.
Yeah, it is
welcome
cool.
back to
Hey.
the show.
Thanks, Bill.
Real quick, I just want to say thank you very much to Nate Madden of Immortal Bird for coming in last week. It was awesome. Hopefully everybody checked out their album that dropped last week. It's confusing now because we do these episodes like a week ahead of time.
It is confusing.
So yeah, hopefully by now, the episode or that album has dropped. So hopefully everybody checked it out. But today I'm stoked that I can't believe I managed this.
Yeah,
you guys
this
are some
is
of the
great,
most
man.
Kudos.
busiest
Look at
guys
this.
I know.
Yeah,
And
this is a powerful table right here.
The gurus, man. The gurus. Look at you guys.
But the theme here tonight, if nobody caught on, is basically this is all the people that worked behind the scenes on the Warforged album Voice, which is awesome. So if you guys want, introduce yourselves real quick. You can wave to the camera if you want.
Hi, guys. I'm Jason.
Nobody gives a shit about you.
I play drums in Warforged, and I did nothing to contribute to the record other than that.
I'm Spenser Morris. I'm an audio engineer in Chicago, and I did the mastering for the album.
I am Pete Grossmann, and I run Bricktop Recording and mixed the record.
I'm Aluculesei. I recorded the album, also former guitar player for Warforged.
Hi, I'm Adrian, and I do the singing.
I do the singing.
I do the singing.
All right, you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who I am. But so moving along.
No.
I've been on every episode. People know who I am, man.
This is the first time in a long time I've heard you say your last name. It's really weird hearing you say it
Awful to
because
pronounce.
I made up my own. I knew how to pronounce it,
Yeah.
but I made up my own pronunciation over the years.
I
For
totally
sure.
get
What
that.
is it?
What's your pronunciation of it?
Aluculesei?
Yeah,
Close
mine's
enough.
Aluculesei. That's mine, too. Aluculesei. Aluculesei.
Well, I say it like that. I say it like that in
Aluculesei.
my head. Aluculesei.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, Aluculesei.
I feel like that tends to happen when you like read someone's last name on Facebook a ton. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
you
yeah.
internalize their name.
eventually.
Oh,
differently.
my God, dude.
I've typed your name probably more. For some reason, probably more than anybody else's.
It's just
Oh,
the
Aluculesei.
most number of letters in a last name. They just like you notice when you type it because it takes so long.
Oh, yeah, man.
So yeah, going back, it's how long ago did you start that album? Because I remember, I think we were driving to Louisville, and I got to hear the entire album through Guitar Pro, which probably isn't the best way to hear that album.
It is the best way.
like,
The ideal way.
for an outsider. Yeah, it's the
I don't
ideal
even,
way.
the whole album was not written at that
No.
point
No,
yet.
I know we
He
listened
was
to
a
a good chunk of
I think
it.
that was. Were you? No, that was Max that drove to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because it writing was finished in December of 2016.
Okay.
So I don't know, when would that have been?
I'm not sure. It was a while ago. but I
What,
remember
that was
hearing-
Louisville Death Fest. I want to say it was 2014 or 2015. Let me look up the flyer. But it was before that whole thing really started to implode on itself.
So then once the album was
That's
like
that's
done,
something to cut.
how soon did you guys like end up booking? So the first thing you guys did were drums, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where you came in, Paul,
Yeah.
right? At Bricktop, at Pete's place, right? Mm-hmm. And how did that go? Was that fun?
That was great. Yeah, it was actually a really, really fun experience, especially working outside of like the traditional studio that I used to work out of, IV Lab. It was cool to be able to go somewhere else with a completely different like selection of gear, completely different room, and just like have fun with it.
And that was your first time at Bricktop, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
it was. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I feel like. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was. It was definitely the first time I worked at a Bricktop. But yeah, it was a great experience. Really liked it. There was definitely a good ability to like focus and stay like on task there. Like there wasn't really a lot of room for us to like go wander around and like, you know, dick around in general. What did we book? Like 3 days?
I thought.
For drums, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 days.
Or 4 days.
I thought it was. I'm pretty sure it was 4.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
think it might
remember
have been 4
thinking
days.
that the cost of the 4 days was an even number, and so was the amount of days.
Yeah.
So it's easy to
It was
divide.
4 days. You were right. I do remember that.
Did you end up using all 4 days?
Yes,
like,
we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
front to
We had
back?
some time to spare. I think on the last day I finished a little earlier just because we only had like the drum tracking was different this time around for me. Because because we use I just use, and I'll say it, I'll fucking say it. For most of the kicks, I just used a pad, like a rolling pad. Unless it was the clean parts, we used that big kick drum.
Yeah, it was a 24-inch.
Oh yeah, the Shine kick drum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we used that
4x20.
thing, and that thing's got that big boom to it. So
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had because I mentioned before we started. Me and Peter and Something Is Waiting, and we're on our way to a show, and I was grilling the shit out of him about it. But yeah, it was one of the things he brought up was doing the drums. But there was a thing where you guys had to do something because you brought in the acoustic drum or something happened or the setup or something like that.
We basically set it up so that we were using the kick pad for any distorted guitar technical section, and then whenever there was something a little less like that, it was clean part or acoustic part, we'd have an actual acoustic drum kit.
Yeah.
So we basically had to kind of do everything with the kick pad first. Then the way that the rug and everything was set up, we had to dismantle that and put the kick in, mic it up, and then just basically rebuild the drum kit around it. So, but other than the kick, everything else on the actual kit stayed the same. There's I think there was a section or two where we put a wallet on the snare drum to dampen it and get that
That's a good
dead
trick,
sort of
yeah.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was
we
in
taped one
Willow.
away.
What did you end up using as a kit?
My kit, I just used my fucking Tama Superstar Hyperdrive kit. Put new heads on it. My whole idea, not to go back to it, but to go back to it. My ideology behind the whole thing with the kick pad is I know Mark Lewis and those Audio Hammer dudes do that a lot. They just have a drum, and I mean,
Makes sense.
yeah, and it's
especially for a metal
2019 when you're in
band.
a death metal band and you're playing parts that require one sound, for most of the distorted parts, and the heavier parts. I have no shame with it. I don't really care. I think
mean,
it's easier.
More often than not, when it comes to recordings, you end up triggering the kick, right, for a band like that.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing too. Was my pedals were set up to. When I started using a trigger on my actual kick drum live, just in general, I had to completely reevaluate my foot playing and how my pedals are set up for them to register the actual trigger.
and everything,
But
yeah.
if I was to run that now on my kick drum now, it's just I'd have to redo everything, and it would be a lot of trial and error. So I just
Right.
figured that was probably the smartest way to go about it. Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of times, an acoustic kick drum sound isn't really what most bands want in that scenario anyway. So
Right.
you're either gonna add a sample to it or manipulate it heavily to get a certain type of sound. So we were why don't we give this a shot? A lot of dudes do it. It seems to work and worked out great, honestly.
You were comfortable doing that?
Oh fuck yeah! I love doing that.
It really changed the approach too because you don't really have to deal with kick bleed in any of the microphones.
Ooh,
so
good point. Okay.
I was able to stick a microphone underneath the kit and then just compress it super heavily, and it added a lot of fatness to the toms and everything else in the kit. So I thought that was cool because you can't really get away with that normally,
Right.
or at least not in that way. So
Good trick, yeah.
The kick won't resonate the toms too.
yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
I've actually
Yeah.
tried that.
I don't know. I love fucking recording at Bricktop. I haven't had that much experience recording in a lot of studios around Chicago, but that live room is so sick.
It's a pretty cool room.
And what
yeah.
makes it is the fact that there's actual light that comes into the room for
Yeah.
me. I loved recording at IV, but the one thing about that studio was I would be in there, hours would go by, and it didn't feel like it to
You
me. And I'd walk
definitely lose track of
outside.
That's what I liked about
it's
it. I loved that.
Yeah, it was
Adrian did love that.
Yeah.
it was a time chamber, dude.
Yeah, it was
Exactly,
great.
You walk outside, it's pitch black, and it's oh fuck,
Yeah.
I've been doing 2 songs for this long.
I loved that place.
It
man.
really
God
screwed
damn
with
it.
my head, working there all the
Yeah.
time. Because we had the what do you call those glass openings
sunroof?
in the ceilings? Yeah,
Skylight.
atriums or whatever.
skylight. Yeah, we had
skylight.
skylights, but we didn't really have any great actual windows there. It was
Yeah.
glass block in the front, and so yeah, you definitely felt like you were trapped somewhere after a while.
Yeah, I remember the second thing I would compare. I think I like the original live room at IV, when it was still on Irving Park or whatever
Yeah,
there
in the bank vault.
Yeah, and it had all those cool lights, and it was ooh, this is sex dungeon studio.
Yeah, it was a sex dungeon.
It was cool. It was a very
Yeah.
magical genie vibe in that room. I know it sounds stupid saying it, but that's how I internalize
Fair
it.
enough, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, tracking in fucking at Bricktop was so refreshing and sick and
Nice
yeah,
change
I'll
of
never
scenery.
forget that. Everything I did, because that was when I was working at the bakery, so I cleared a bunch of time, which was harder to do at that job.
When did you track those drums? That was a while ago, right?
Summer of
July of 2017.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
2
good.
years ago.
Is it
Yep.
June or July?
I think it,
So almost 2 years now.
I think it was
Yeah.
July. I think it was July or August. Yeah.
yeah.
And then it was July like 12th to 16th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
So yeah, this album is like crazy dynamic, which is awesome, and it definitely helped that you guys probably did the drums the way you did. How was that, having to mix and master this album and keeping that in mind? Because there's so many parts that just, you want it to be super in your face, and then clearly you want these mellow parts, and you kind of need that juxtaposition. And was that challenging at all? Like, especially for a metal
I mean,
band?
that was probably one of the most challenging parts of mixing that. Whereas, like, you have not only just like the quiet parts, like doing the quiet to loud parts wasn't that tricky, but it was more so when you have like a loud part that goes into a louder part, like then you have to kind of get really creative in terms of like how you keep adding impact to things. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like not an album that you like get a static mix going
Yeah.
and then you can like, oh, I'm 90% done. It's like, no, you're like maybe 40% there. Like I was 40% there.
Put a lot of
with
time
this.
in.
Yeah.
Did you end up like automating a lot, like
Oh, yeah.
throughout each mix?
A ton of volume automation. So I got like a static mix of like the heavy stuff, and then I would just apply that to every song, and then basically every section I would have to automate everything differently. So if there's a guitar lead, it's like, oh, I need to bring the rhythms down in order to like make the next part not like sound like the lead. When the lead drops off, it's like, oh, now something's missing. So it's like you have to. The whole thing was just basically going through stuff like that, essentially.
How about for you with the mastering?
Well, I wanted to ask Pete, I forget, did you mix everything in the same session?
No,
I actually had them in separate ones?
I tried to. When I first got all the files, I tried to set it up, but it was just so difficult because there were so many different elements, song to song, that I just like couldn't keep importing and keeping the tempo maps. Like everything just kept getting screwed up. So it was just like, no, I'm just gonna do this, and then you just have to do the whole like file import session data, and then then becomes really difficult to make like further refinements because when you import session data, it imports all the volume automation. So you have to like be cognizant of like what you're importing every time. Otherwise, like you're like, oh shit.
And when we did
I'll make like a template.
I'll
make a template where there's no automation, where it's like pretty much where the level should be, and then import it, and then from there, hopefully not have to adjust too much after, transfer it between the songs. Or if I'm gonna make changes after that, I only do EQ or bus.
Yeah, just do like the plugin settings.
Yeah. So I don't have to go through the actual volume automation and do
that's
or I go
actually
old fashioned and just write everything.
That's when I started using trim plugins. For that purpose, because I'm like, I never used trim plugins until then, because I'm like,
oh really?
Now I can either just use clip gain for automation and then keep faders as static as possible. Clip gain is basically you could just go into little audio regions and just adjust the volume of it, rather than adjusting the fader, essentially.
Oh, okay.
When I was gonna mention, when we did Essence, we did it all in one session, so it was like, and
you
granted,
you have to usually start from the beginning like that if you want to do it all in one session.
yeah, and but the problem we would run into is like launching the session. All of a sudden, it'd be like, 1,000, million tracks, bunch of different plugins, all this automation, and
10 minutes later.
Yeah, and then like bouncing, it was just like such a nightmare. I was like, all right, I decided early on that we're just gonna do separate song sessions, and worked out fine.
Yeah,
that's how I went for the music video too. Like anytime I tried to open the thing up, because it's all I had to do it all in one session. It like my whole I bought a 10 terabyte hard drive for the music video, and it's full.
God.
Video, man, takes a lot of storage.
Audio is a pain in the ass, but video is a whole other story.
Yeah, it is like fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, what I do here is probably not nearly as close to what you did, and it's a pain in my ass to do
It
this.
sucks.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, at least I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine. The other cool thing about this album was like all the guest spots. It's crazy. It's like an all-star cast of people on here, minus the guys from Roman Ring, but it's an all-star cast. How soon into the album were you thinking that, like having
Wolverine,
the guest
dude.
spots? You have three
like
of
at
the
the very
five members
beginning.
of Roman Ring.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't get the call, but whatever, it's cool.
Wow. Well,
Fair enough.
no.
I get it. I'm just the rhythm in Roman Ring. I get it.
No.
It's cool.
Me.
But that's
duh.
that's crazy. Because I looked at
Third one.
because I always look at like Artificial Brain's name, and I was just like, oh man, we got two of them. I feel kind of Like, is that cool or is it not cool that there's 2 people from the South? I love it.
Yeah.
But there's 3 people. I thought that they had the most.
I guess it's like 2.5. I would call it, just because obviously you're gonna have Jason on the whole album.
Yeah. That's true.
Right. It's just the longest running guest spot.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was an early idea because we had Brody from Rivers do a guest solo on Regurgitate on Essence, and then it was just like, why is this not like a thing? Why doesn't, I mean, it's, you look at rap albums and they're mostly collaborations. Right. Like, why is that not a thing in death metal? It's like cool, you know, it's chance to meet and chit chat about music and this and that, and then, you know, just get everybody together in a little you know, idea sandbox.
Yeah, it's just cool. It adds so many other textures and you know, flavors to your record. Yeah.
Personality.
Yeah, it makes the album even bigger than it already is, which is kind of cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people, I don't know, because I think it's funny what Adrian says about it, because like it's true. Like guest spots are all over hip hop, like all the time, and nobody like bats an eye at it because it's so expected.
Right.
But in metal, sometimes I feel like there's almost like sometimes people have negative connotations about it. They're like, oh, why did they need this guy? And it's, I don't want anybody to listen to it and be like, it's not that we need anybody. It's we wanted this. You know, we wanted this for this section, you know? And it's like, listening names or anything.
That's
fine, man.
What of all the guest spots, which one kind of surprised you the most?
Oh shit.
For me, it was definitely Kevin from Gorguts, Kevin Huffnagel.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Because like the way that whole thing worked out was like, I think Adrian, you sent him like a Facebook message, and
he was like one of the first like guest spots
he
got.
He was the
right?
first,
I remember hearing that. I was like pretty excited about it.
He was the first, and his turnaround was very.
It was like
quick,
a day,
and it was just, he said like, it was. I don't know if it was a day. It was within a week.
Yeah, it was
for
like
sure,
a couple of days.
for sure. Yeah,
'Cause-
and he sent half of it, and he's like, "This is what I got so far. I'll send the other half tomorrow." I was like, I was worried because I was one of the first people, and I was like, "Oh man, I don't know how to do this. What if it comes out bad, and I have to be like." Hey,
Tell
man,
him it's not
Yeah,
good.
we can't do
yeah,
that.
I don't know how to do this, and no, it was like
Perfect.
Yeah. So, I love that solo.
Like he sent it
It's a great
really quick, and that's the whole
song,
thing. Because we were like, "Fuck!" If he like barely spent any time on it, what if it sucks? But it was like
did you
awesome.
did you have to like revise, go through revisions with anyone? You don't have to say who or anything, but like, did you?
I'm sure you had to,
a couple people, yeah.
Yeah, some revisions, and then
on both vocals and guitar.
yeah, there were some spots. There's actually a couple sections where we try to have Kevin do other stuff for sections that we wanted that we couldn't get. That some of the guitar players that we try to initially get that were stumped, we actually reached out to Kevin to try and do that. But I don't even. What did we end up doing? I don't even remember because I don't necessarily remember which parts those were at this point anymore. But
that's that ended up being my Rhodes solo.
yeah, which is sick.
Yeah, it's
So-
all right.
Yeah, I think everything turned out cool as far as all the guests go. Like, I will say, I'll reveal one little tasty tidbit.
Reveal
That beginning part in the beginning vocals in Beneath the Forest Floor were actually supposed to be Jake from Rivers, but just timing was such an issue because by the time we were tracking that, they were like just getting started on this album cycle and stuff and getting everything together for that. So he wasn't able to do it. And then I was like on Facebook one day and I saw Dallas Toller Wade from Used to Be in Nile. Yeah, and I saw he was like, "Yeah, looking for guest work," and I was like, "Oh shit!" So we hit him up, and like, that's like big shit for me because I like love that.
That part with him in the beginning is phenomenal. Like it just sounds so heavy with that guy's vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's scary.
Yeah, I asked you, like, you didn't know every like guest spot that was in it, right? You just kind of saw the initials and stuff.
Yeah, it didn't say it was like some of them I'm just like, I have no idea who this is. Others I'm like, oh, I know who that is. Like obviously like Danny's vocal, like I knew that was Danny, and I knew like the people that I knew, but in general, like band names weren't attached, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool and different. Like, so then at one point I had to like, I think when we were wrapping up, I asked Adrian, I'm like, who was on? So then he gave me like the whole list. And I'm like, whoa.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed to gain a lot of attention in like the press releases for our record when they first started coming out. Was like everybody's like, there's so many people on this. Like that was.
I hope it starts a trend. It'd be great if more bands did that. It's such a great idea, you know.
Yeah. Or we can only do it, and it could be our thing. It could be our thing.
I mean, people could do whatever. I want to do that for all the everything because it's like
so in future albums.
Yeah,
and stuff,
like everything. Yeah.
Nice. Do you have like people in mind already?
Oh,
yeah.
fuck
Are you gonna go back
I mean,
to some people that were on this one as well, or?
Maybe way down the line, but for now, I want to continue to explore new territories and fuck with new people. But I'm gonna say it because it's so far out of reach that I don't feel like I'm jinxing myself. I think it would be so cool because for the third album to get Mike Patton.
Oh man,
that'd be
awesome.
That'd be the shit, man.
Good luck.
But not, I know. I need it. I don't even know. I don't know a person like 7 people removed probably.
He's pretty prolific. I
wouldn't be
there's a
that
chance
surprised. Yeah,
when he did the Dillinger thing, nobody expected that.
Yeah.
True. I want to get Jamie Josta.
Yeah, Jamie
Because I think
Josta.
that would be sick.
Wait,
It's all deathcore all-stars and hardcore all-stars on the next record.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
It'd be great if you did genre specific like that.
Who's
That'd
on
be
that?
awesome.
The Acacia Strange
Jamie
song?
Josta.
That's Jamie Josta.
Yeah.
My life is a shooting range.
Dude,
That
sick
part's
lyrics
so
too.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I want
good.
him, and I
So
do
pissed.
really like. I know there's no way in hell to do it, and I don't even think anybody except me might think it's cool. But I think it would be so sick to have like Yoko Ono on our song. Just do some whack ass shit. It would be so sick.
A person like that, that's actually realistic. I'll say it because I think it's realistic. I want to try to get Sharkula. Are you guys familiar with Sharkula?
That name sounds familiar.
He's a
Is that like
he's a rapper.
local-
He's like
a
that, yeah.
rapper, and he
Chicago
walks
guy.
around Wicker Park, and he like sells CDs, and he's been doing it for years. And his it's very like weird. Yeah, Sharkula. Yeah,
He's on Spotify and
Listen to the album that came out this year. It's like fucked up. It's awesome.
Is he, like,
it's
I used to read with a
good.
guy like that named Slim Tino.
That's awesome.
There's some
Mike,
cool
my drummer,
rappers.
met him one time. We were at a show at some tea. We came outside. He's out there selling.
You
his
and Mike
CDs.
met Flintino?
Yeah, Mike met Slim Tino.
Fuck yeah, man. I still haven't met
Slim
him.
Tino was sick, dude. I don't know what
that
I
is.
haven't heard from
That's
him
an
in
awesome
years.
name.
I recorded a rapper named Raw Dog one time.
Oh,
That's such a
yeah.
sick name, dude.
What did he rap about?
I'll leave, the obvious things. What do you whatever you think he'd rap about? That's what it was.
Yeah. Dude, Slim Tino was making a living. He was making I make like $50 to $100 a day selling my CDs downtown.
Fuck yeah.
And I was like, it's somewhat of a living. Shit.
Yeah,
Damn.
man. That's awesome.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Flintino.
Slim Tino.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that Sharkula record is like really fucking scary. It just sounds like a nightmare, but like a nightmare if it was in like a Game Boy,
Yeah, it's sick.
and then it's just like a dude like.
Yeah, Diarrhea Sherlock,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. With
Is that like one of his songs?
Yeah,
It's a lyric in a song.
He says something like, "Oh, I ran out of lyrics. I need to say something meaningful." And then the beat drops, and it's like Diarrhea Sherlock. It's so sick.
Yeah, Diarrhea
He's kind of like a
Sherlock.
modern Wesley Willis. Kind of.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it comes to my mind.
Rock and roll
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, I really want to try to
Wait,
get him
is
for
he
the
saying?
next thing.
Is he saying? Are you saying Diary of Sherlock
No,
or diarrhea?
Yeah, Diarrhea Sherlock.
Both are
Diarrhea
great.
Sherlock. What a combination of words. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
Diarrhea Sherlock.
Diarrhea Sherlock. Who is that guy?
He's probably cool as fuck.
Yeah, what's he like? Okay, sorry. It's intriguing to me. It's interesting.
With the guest spots, like obviously those dudes recorded it their own way, but did any of you guys have to do any reamping or do anything special to like their vocals or guitars or whatever
Yeah, we did some reamping because some of the dudes just sent us like just straight DIs or like they'll send us like the DI and then like a really bad like amp sim plugin or something, you know, just like they'll just throw something on there. And it's like there was some dudes that their sound was just like great right out of the box, so to speak. So we didn't really have to do anything with that. But there was a couple that we did reamp just to have like a more usable tone.
Nice. I remember Dan Gargiulo from our official Brain and Revocation. He just sent us DIs. Like of his solo.
I heard
you did
just the DI.
Yeah. And I was like, this is sick. Like,
listening to a DI guitar.
Yeah, it was sick though. I love his solo.
Shit.
I love it. I love listening to DI and then like hearing the real thing right after. It's just like, damn.
Yeah.
There's like YouTubers that do that now. They're like Metallica songs, just DI'd guitars. I saw one today where it was like Megadeth. Like all the solos off Rust in Peace, just clean guitars.
That's weird. That's cool that it's there if you want to hear it, but part of me is just like, why would you do it?
It's a real novelty.
I mean, I guess
all
if
the
you needed to
YouTube
hear
gimmicks are
Megadeth guitar
that's a good
solos.
one, I guess. Yeah, what did you do reamp wise? Like, what did you end up using? Because I know you guys borrowed some amps from me.
Yeah. No, I think the main thing that we used was the Soldano Slow. So that came in handy. And then I think the main blend was like 60% slow and then like 40% my VHT Pitbull, like my
cool.
VHT Fry It, whatever you want to call it. And then there was like a solo or two. There's a few things that we reamped with the dual rec, the Mesa Boogie dual rec that you lent us. But those were the three main amps. And the rhythm guitar tone was like Soldano and VHT. And then occasionally I think I did a reamp through the Mesa and then a reamp through just the Pitbull for like a solo or two that we reamped. And then cab wise, we used the Max's WTF cab that you had built
nice.
and then he has like a Carvin Legacy cab, I think with vintage 30 speakers in there. So we set those up in his like bedroom or his like empty, I don't know what
his
that
living
room
room.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the cabinets were upstairs.
Oh, in that like computer room area.
Yeah, because we had all the heads like stacked
the
next to the
ISO room.
computer. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, you got to be able to like hear what you're dialing in.
Right.
So we had like, I don't know, he has like a spare bedroom, and we stuck the cabs up there and got like really long speaker cables, and yeah, it was pretty simple. I think I did like two 57s on each cab. So it's kind of the Andy Sneap thing where it's like 157 like dead on, then another one at like a 45-degree angle. So there's like four of them all together.
Okay.
So two on each cab, and then that was basically it.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think I think the cab you built for him has those like neodymium or whatever speakers in them.
I'm not quite sure what he ended up getting. I know they're Celestion, but I'm not sure.
I can't remember, but I want to say they were like the really light ones.
I think so, because the idea with those cabs were that they were supposed to be built pretty small and lightweight, so they're easy to
portable,
move, which is funny because like Max is gigantic, so you should be able to pick it up with like one hand.
Yeah, but turned out great. Like the guitar tone, I thought was probably like definitely one of the better guitar tones I've gotten. So I was really happy with it, and I think we recorded like 99% of the rhythm guitars with Jace's Kiesel Vader that has like the lithium pickups, or whatever they're called.
I love that guitar so much.
Yeah,
No shit.
It sounds really good. Like we shot out a bunch of Max's like guitars, and he's got like ESPs,
got a collection,
Charvels, LTDs, like a bunch of different stuff. But the pickups in that were like the gnarliest sounding ones that weren't sterile because he's got like a couple of EMGs in them. The EMGs sounded really good, but like there was just something not as like organic, and I hate like using such a weird vague term, but there's like something about the Kiesel pickups that just like they won. So
we used that on our album too.
Nice,
but live he plays his Carvin from the mid '90s.
Oh,
so it matches my bass. We have like the same. We have the same model essentially. Yeah, I have an Alcoa bass.
That is a gorgeous
from '96,
guitar,
and his is from like '95 or '97. Or
oh, no way!
It's either or it might be a '96 also. It's like 1 year off. Or,
that guitar actually, he got it from me because I traded.
Yeah, he told me that. Yeah.
Oh, did he tell you that story? I didn't even
That's an
own
awesome fucking guitar. Like it's funny that he plays that live. Like we did try them both out at practice, and it was like we kind of liked that better for the live sound, which is interesting. But yeah, dude, that guitar records so well. The intonation is perfect on it. Like,
that was the thing we were like super careful about too, was like the tuning. Like at some points we wanted to use like the Evertune bridge and stuff because he's
got a couple like with that, right?
Yeah, I think he's got like an LTD or two with the Evertune.
Jace has an Evertune?
No, Max
does.
Yeah,
really.
So there was some stuff that would just like really like strange chords that would just sound kind of off. So we'd go to like the Evertune for it, and but most of the rhythm guitars were all on that Kiesel guitar. Worked out
Even
great.
Max used the Kiesel?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So tiny.
so small, yeah.
Looks like a violin. He did have some issues playing it though, like just because of how small it was. Sometimes, like depending on what the part was, he'd have to like switch to a different guitar for it. So
no shit. That's funny.
I think the second guitar that we used the most, which was like still not nearly as many times as we used the Kiesel guitar, was an LTD Horizon with a JB pickup in the bridge, like the Duncan JB. That was also like a really good sound, but it's just like a little thinner, so we didn't really. It wasn't really what we wanted for like the main rhythm tone.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't really messed with an Evertune. I've seen Max's like played it unplugged, but I don't know. If in your studio, have you messed with an Evertune at all?
No,
really.
Yeah, never. No one's ever brought one in. I'm curious, though. I'd like to have one to have around, but just haven't had the opportunity yet. But it's, I've been looking at those Jerichos with the.
So have I.
I'm like, if I ever see a used one for the right price, maybe I'll snag one for the studio.
Nice.
Chris Jericho, dude, or Walls of Jericho.
Right? Walls of Jericho.
Remember
That's
them?
a band.
Yeah.
Didn't Serge do a song with them?
I don't
Serge
know.
Tankian was on a song.
Maybe. I have no idea.
Who?
Walls of Jericho. I don't think
Is that
so.
right? Because I know that name and I know one song.
I mean,
by
that
them,
band
and
was
I
like
feel
pretty well known. Like they were pretty well known in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And in like that first wave of like metalcore.
Yeah. Definitely like a MTV2 Headbangers Ball band. You know?
Classic. Yeah. Jamie Josta hosting that shit.
Yeah.
Next song from Walls of Jericho.
Dude, I saw that band so many times back in the day.
Really?
I think I Do Tomorrow even played with them a few times. Yeah.
Bass tone wise, because I was asking you about it, and that was one of the questions I caught you off guard with. What did you guys end up doing for the bass? Because that sounds phenomenal on this album.
Yeah.
Like it's got a very piano like sound to it.
People compliment it a lot.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I know. So I know I got two files. I got a DI and then one that just said bass dirt or dirty bass or something like that.
Exactly.
So I don't know what those are, but I didn't use a whole lot of the dirty bass.
Did you reamp it?
I didn't reamp it. I used amp sims.
Okay, gotcha.
So I split it up into 4 tracks. I basically used the DI and like low passed it. So basically you're just getting the low end, and I compressed it, just made it so like the low end was just a brick.
Okay.
And then I did another one that was like a mid gain type of thing, and I used the CLA bass plugin.
Nice.
Which I never really used, but I like tried it out. I'm like, oh, this actually kind of works. And then the main thing that you hear, the main thing that cuts is I used Recabinet 4 by Thermonic. It's just like an amp sim suite that's like pretty sweet, but there's a bass amp in there that sounds really, really awesome and like cuts like better than anything else that I can think of. Like cuts through mixes super like a fucking laser beam.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
So like all the like attack for most of the album is that Recabinet plugin. Which now they're on 5 and it's like a totally different format. So I haven't messed with that, but 4
it's Recabinet?
Yeah.
You said it was Thermionic?
Thermionic or Thermonic or whatever, yeah.
The people who make the like Culture Vulture? Like Thermionic Culture?
Yeah.
Really?
Or no, actually, no, that's a different company. That's a hardware company. But these guys do a lot of just amp sims and like plugins and stuff like that, kind of like analog modeled stuff. Yeah, so like the main really gritty bass part is primarily that.
It's funny because there's also Recabinet by Kazrog. That's just a
Kazrog,
cabinet.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like their whole suite where it's like
I just have the cabinet simulator. They have amp sims too?
Yeah,
I didn't know
it's
that.
like Thermonic it's called, but
okay.
But I don't think they still sell Recabinet 4. That's like a legacy thing now, but I still use it because it works, and I fucking love the bass, whatever the bass amp on there is, and then it's got a bunch of their cabinets as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much primarily.
Thermionic is discontinued. That's probably why I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. So It's vintage.
Hold on to it.
Yeah, I can't upgrade too much.
Don't update anything.
Don't change it. What bass did he use for the album?
We used the.
Please tell me it wasn't the Ibanez.
It was a Lakeland.
Okay.
We tried the Ibanez. That was okay.
Really?
So like early on in the process, he showed up with the Ibanez, and it was just like in terrible shape. And I was like, okay, let's set it up. Let's set up the bass because like the neck was way out of whack and like one of the tuners was like busted off. And he actually, I was like, okay, this tuner sucks. Like order a new tuner. So then we like pushed things back a week to wait for this tuner to show up. So there was like this whole like process. But then like he brought the Max's Lakeland bass and it just sounded so much
night
better.
and day difference.
And I was like, we're using this. So we ended up recording everything with that. And then it was just a DI right into my Apollo twin interface. And then the dirt track that you mentioned was just a SansAmp plugin that I used.
Okay.
So
Okay, I was gonna guess it was like I thought it was like a SansAmp or
yeah,
something.
I
like
use
that, so-
SansAmp on like everything.
Yeah,
SansAmp
yeah.
is awesome.
That seems like a good go-to for that. Yeah.
I do it on bass. I'll use it on like kick drums, like a parallel
Vocals,
thing.
too.
Vocals, yeah, great on that. Sometimes I'll just like record if it's like a really simple guitar part that's like just the not too crazy. I'll throw SansAmp on it and call it a day. You can get some really convincing sounds out of that thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then what about vocal-wise? What'd you do? Because like the vocals, I've talked to people about it before, and it's pretty interesting because like the vocals don't seem like they're your average vocals of being like in the forefront like a lot of bands. It's very much another instrument, it seems like, in the whole grand scheme of the album. Like, and it's got a lot of grit and dirt to it, which is really cool, which adds to that kind of, I guess, fullness too, and gives it that layer it needs to be. Like, what did you guys do for that?
Well, as far as like my involvement was, it was super simple SM7B. Like I anytime I record death metal vocals, it always ends up being that because
It's a good mic, yeah.
a lot of dudes just, I think like the cool thing about it is that you can hold it in your hand and like not have to mount it on a stand. And I know that was something I learned like working with Adrian actually, because he was like, can I like just hold this? Because I want to like be able to like suck in my stomach more and like kind of do this. And I was like, yeah, dude, just take it off the stand. And there's like no handling noise, so it's perfect. So yeah, most of the time when I recorded Adrian or like Danny, it's always just an SM7, no stand, just right in their hand, right into the interface. And then Adrian recorded a lot of his stuff at home by himself too. So like it was maybe like half and half, or maybe a little bit less than half was recorded by
Why
me.
was
and
that?
then-
Just for the sake of time or just comfortability?
Half time and then half like I feel like that whole period I'm not afraid to admit because it's fucking in the past now. that was like a hard I don't know how to say it, a hard time vocally, but like I don't know. I was going through I couldn't get my shit to sound right, and I kept feeling like every time that it like took me a while to get into the swing of recording. You know, I had never recorded a full album before, so it was like, you know, it's hard to get used to. So I needed to do it on my own to like figure my shit out. You know.
So some of the main vocal parts were recorded at home, and then some were recorded by Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use the same mic or did you use a different mic?
Same mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
That's
Keep it
mine. I
consistent.
bought that like I was in like high school, and I was like, oh, when I gotta meet girls, I gotta learn vocals. And I just like started doing the band thing, and then like a couple years in, I was like, I saw a video of Phil Bozeman recording with one, and I was just like, oh, I guess that's the mic I need to get. And I got the
the one
mic,
to
and
get.
yeah, I didn't fucking use it and I think the first time we actually used it was for Essence, maybe.
It might
Maybe,
have been.
yeah.
Might have been.
Yeah, which was 2013. I had it for like 4 years before that.
Oh, wow. So you were sitting at it.
I buy
remember it
that.
was sitting at Christian's forever.
Yeah,
It was just like,
I did use it. I mean, that shit doesn't count, but
Yeah.
I guess I did use it. Yeah,
but that's all was there. I mean, we never used it. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
it was just there.
yeah, it was it for a
That's
while.
like another great thing about the SM7 is like it's so directional that you can record in any room and it doesn't really have like as big of an impact as like if you were using a condenser or like
Right.
whatever. So yeah, record at home all day.
Mhm. Yep.
And then mix wise, it was pretty much like the good old trusty Decapitator. It's a plugin by Sound Toys that's just like the ubiquitous like distortion for vocals, or
Yep.
like you could do like mild saturation. So pretty much I just put it on punish mode. which is just a mode that just like gives you the most gain. I think it literally maxed out.
Pretty ridiculous.
I think I maxed out the gain and put it in punish mode. 100% wet because there's a wet dry thing. So normally I think it started off when I did the first revision. I think it might have been like 15% wet. So it was just like mostly clean, but like a little distorted. And then as the revisions went on, it's like more distortion, more distortion. And I just kept cranking the wet knob up, and then it's like, all right, cool.
So you didn't end up using any of the clean signal at all for it? Like parallel?
No, I did initially, and then
you just went all 100%.
And then it was just like Adrian was asking for more, and I'm like, you know what?
Tell us that plugin.
And then outside of that, there's like a little bit of like the Slate like virtual tube thing that you can like kind of push.
Oh, okay.
And then like one of their 1176s doing a little bit of work, but then outside of that, it's like that, and then it was the decapitator, and then like an L1 after a Waves L1 limiter after that, just like again to like kind of clamp it in the music rather than like. I just wanted it to be kind of like the bass where it's just like fucking there and not going to budge and just fucking pinned. So
it's funny that you ended up using that because when we track vocals, like 99% of the time that's on there. Like for Adrian, Adrian, and he's always like, can you add more distortion?
I like it. I like it distorted, man. Sorry, guys.
No, it sounds great. It's awesome.
Yeah, I like it crunchy.
How much, so in the mix, how much were you guys, like the band, involved with it? Or did you kind of just like, here you go, Pete?
I mean,
crush it.
I don't know. And this is my first time.
Progressive rock hits on that album too, so it's cool to hear. Like, there's some weird. I'm getting the White Claws getting in my head a little bit. But, by the way, I am gonna say this is so fucking sick. I hate LaCroix because when I'm drinking, I'm like, there's no like this tastes so non-enjoyable. There might as well be alcohol in it.
Yeah.
So this, it's like I get it.
Dude, I put whiskey in LaCroix before and it was not terrible.
Really
interesting.
Yeah.
What's up?
People smoke down here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think
I'm not gonna get
But
too
yeah,
sidetracked.
I don't know. This is really good.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about
highly
White Claw
impressed.
because we are trying to get the endorsement.
Yeah, White Claw, your liquor is really sick. I barely even taste like there's alcohol in this. Like you don't, because like
barely alcohol in it.
There's a really funny
5%.
video going around right now. It's called like when white guys
Yeah,
try.
I've seen it.
just
Yeah.
saw it.
It's so funny.
I had a
it's
customer
neat.
line
And
offer
that's
me.
actually, it's actually a line in it. It's like you're not even drinking alcohol.
Yeah, just the other day, I had a customer offer me. It wasn't White Claw, but it was like something similar, like the sparkling water with alcohol. And she's like, "Oh, do you
truly?"
Like we moved like furniture, and she was like, "Oh, do you want you want this?"
there.
And like her husband was like, "There's alcohol in that." Like I was like, "Oh no, we're good. I still gotta work the rest of the day here. No, I'm good, thank you."
You could have one drink, Bill.
No.
Yeah, Bill.
If I'm gonna start drinking alcohol during the day, it's not gonna be that. Like,
Like moonshine, like dirt moonshine.
Yeah. So as far as like mastering and mixing and everything, what did you guys use? I'm trying to think how to word this. Like almost like a reference to get you into the mindset you needed to do the work that you guys did.
For me, I think honestly, it was more of a continuation of what we had sort of already been heading towards. Like when we put out that song Two Demons, it was definitely kind of an experimental leap, so to speak. Like I'm sure Adrian can kind of attest more than, better than I'm explaining it, but it definitely had more elements of like, I don't know, just like ambient stuff going on. And then there's also some just noisier things that were maybe a little less in the world of technical death metal and more in the world of like just weird experimental metal. And so for me, the groundwork already was kind of laid by working on that song Two Demons, because there was just like tons of different instrumentation. There's like classical guitars on it. There was lots of reverb and delay and just all that kind of stuff. So for me, I already kind of was able to see the road that we were kind of headed towards. And I felt like my job was just to kind of like get us there. So Adrian already
keep him on the path.
Yeah. And like just having worked with Adrian and all these guys before, like I kind of already knew what the whole thing was about, you know? So it was more just like kind of giving them enough room to do what they wanted to do, and also just kind of like when Adrian uses a word, or not just Adrian, but anybody in the band, it's like, I want it to sound more like mountainous, like translating that into
descriptors during recording.
Yeah,
Those are
it's
always
velvet pancakes, man. I
Exactly.
want the part to sound like velvet pancakes.
And there's lots of times where I like, he's like, oh, it just needs to be more this or this. And I'm like, oh, I know what you're talking about already.
Isn't it funny how much like a translator you guys need to be with that kind of
Oh,
stuff?
absolutely.
I'm sure you've
I'm
heard
sorry.
like every descriptor in the book, right?
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite descriptors you ever heard when somebody was asking you for like sound?
Oh man.
Well, sometimes when I'm doing live sound, I've had multiple guys say this. I forget who the first person I heard this from. They're like, can you make it a cunt hair louder?
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
That's a good one.
So how much is a cunt hair when it comes
Half
to
a
live
dB,
sound?
I'd say.
It just depends. Yeah. Debatable.
Fair enough. Depends on the venue, right?
So what do you have left?
I like to use the PG rated one. I just say C hair. You know, that's
hair.
when someone wants something up.
Now he's a family man.
I was just saying he's the father, so he's gotta
keep it PG. And I think my main mix reference was Opeth. Was that I think
Watershed.
it was a track off of Watershed, and then I did have some other random kind of like more modern death metal stuff kind of in my queue of A-Being, of references. Like I think I had a Rivers of Nile track, and I think I had like Revocation, but kind of Opeth was kind of like my home base where like I would kind of get the mix going. I'm like, okay, how does it sound compared to this? Is darker, brighter, just kind of general shaping type of thing. So and I forget if that was mine, or I know I definitely asked them for like, before I even started, I'm like, give me some references, and I think that was one of them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it.
I feel like that's your department, right?
In my brain, like that, I'm like, yes, this is exactly this. Like that's like totally like an album that I'm super familiar with, and thought was a good direction.
I think, honestly, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, I think like some of it was kind of a conscious effort as well for us not to, or at least I can't speak for everybody, but for me, not to sort of like have a preconceived notion of what something was supposed to sound like, and just go with what I knew the band kind of wanted right off the bat, because there's not like one band that I feel like these guys can point at and say, this is what we need to sound like.
Right.
There's just so many different influences and kind of like textures and feelings that they're trying to evoke, that I think it's like part of me maybe unconsciously decided to like not go that route of like, hey, I need a bunch of references, or like I want references, or I want this to sound like this. Like a lot of it was like, what do we want it to sound like? And like not what band. It's just like, what texture do we want? Like when he digs into this power chord, like how does this have to feel? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like a big part of it, was like getting the sound to just like work with the actual material that they came up with. So
nice. And what about you, Spencer, as far as like references and stuff for the mastering?
Pretty much exactly that.
Yeah.
You know, Opeth Watershed, just because I knew they were referencing it so much. I'm very familiar with that album. Also, actually, because the studio had a bunch of stuff on iTunes. I just went, you know, when we mastered at Decade Music Studios, great place I use a lot. And I just went through the iTunes and just clicked on a bunch of stuff, you know, that I was like, all right. Even stuff that wasn't even similar, you know, like Nirvana, you know, for instance, just like random. I was like, all right, let's just see how this is, you know, measuring up. But same thing as he was saying, it's like, let's go for what is actually there. Let's try to make it translate as best as possible. You know, really, I didn't do too much in the mastering stage. Like I didn't have to go really crazy with it. You know, I didn't have to salvage it because it was mixed and recorded so well. You know, it was probably one of the easier mastering jobs I've had.
And you don't have to say that because they're sitting right next to you.
No, it's true. And even when we were in the studio, you know, because we did it, you know, at the studio, we did it through all analog gear. And then I did a touch of like small tweaks at home afterwards. After listening to it, it was like literally just like such small notches with digital EQ. And when we were there, like it was Jace, the lead guitarist, who's also the lead guitarist of my band, and Adrian. And it was just those two. And Adrian was pretty cool. He was like happy with everything. And Jace noticed, he's like, yeah, it sounds like a little much now here. You know, I think he said it was like over compressed a little bit. You know, I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then we just backed it off a bit and we found a point where we were all three of us were happy. And it seemed like what we kind of all agreed on was pretty much the most hands-off approach. It was just like very small EQ and compression tweaks. I ran it through like 4 or 5 units pretty much.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's
yeah. Maybe 6.
Ooh, shit.
Ooh, White Claw.
I just got claw all over me, man.
You got claw.
I got claw.
Are you all right? What happened? What happened?
Chug it now.
White Claw.
I think he's more bummed.
Though. I smell better now.
What did you do?
It doubles as like a cologne.
Yeah, Jason's more bummed that he actually spilled the material that he now can't.
Wait,
can't
how
drink.
did you spill that?
I just knocked it over.
Man, he's fucked up on the claw right now.
Did you fall asleep?
I did it with my mind.
Did you?
I just knocked it over with my hand. I was going to grab it.
Dude, you can't even taste the
I don't know
alcohol.
if you
that's the problem. He's already drank 4 of them.
I'll use
for a
Dave
word
for
check.
my
Go upstairs and ask
Give
Dave.
me a sample.
White
You didn't have to drink
Claw.
all my White Claw. Fuck up.
Man,
I knew you couldn't handle 4 of them.
what?
Now
we're
you're
gonna
on, like,
lose the
you just
endorsement
chugged
now.
another one.
4?
What the hell? Look at this.
What about the
going nuts.
podcast, man?
I've never seen
Come
anything
on.
like
Off
this
the
from
rails
Jason.
here. Jeez.
God.
He said he was gonna get drunk tonight. He was like, "I'm gonna drink all your White Claw." I was like,
Accomplished, I guess.
All that stardom going right to his head.
Yeah, right. Fucking.
He hasn't been the same since you guys came back from the tour.
Well, yeah.
Wait for the Roman Ring album. Like 4 years later when it finally comes out.
Probably longer. So
But
with the
no, mastering wise, yeah,
shit.
dude, it was fairly hands off. Like, they did such a good job. I was like, it sounds great, you know.
and then obviously if people didn't know it's on vinyl too. So you have to do 2 different mastering, right? For
The only
vinyl.
difference really for this, just because it was so tight already, I didn't really have to like with vinyl. An issue with cutting it can be the low end if it's too much, especially if it's on the stereo, you know, the left and right field. So like sometimes what you have to do is you have to remove low end from just the left and right channels. And I found that like I was like, this probably isn't going to be a problem. It's tight enough where let's just send it. If it's a problem, they'll tell us, you know. That's another thing though. Like a problem with printing vinyl is you need to specify to get a flat cut. Otherwise they will add additional processing at the plant. I've had 2 records by my own band where I got it back, A-B'd it with the original masters, you know, the original vinyl masters, and it was different. Like the guitars were louder, like, and it shouldn't be.
Interesting.
And then one of the times it was something, I think they printed the digital version as the vinyl cut, meaning it was compressed and limited for loudness. And if you do that with vinyl, it's gonna distort, cause things to like jump up and down. Kind of, it's weird. It's almost like it's like compressing it more in a way when you cut a really loud signal to vinyl. So I remember I had this happen. I sent the 2 masters to our label and I got it back and it was like stuff was like jumping up and down. It was weird. I was like, this is a problem. Like this is just this one test press. And I checked the other one. It was all fucked up. And then we, like I confirmed with the label guys, like, yeah, I was really tired. I must have sent he's like, yeah, I definitely sent the wrong one. And then they sent the vinyl one, did a flat cut and was totally fine. It translated perfectly. And another time we had the label sent the vinyl master, but the plant did additional processing. And again, it was like messed up. It was a little more subtle, but it was like
for the new Vocari?
No, the last one, the last two. So with the last one, it was like kind of a subtle thing. I was like, yeah, this is still like, you guys didn't do a flat cut. And then like when the label contacted the plant about it, they're like, yeah, you guys didn't request it. We just like automatically do it. So they do like additional, to make sure that they do it as kind of like well, they get a lot of bad recordings, like home recorded. So like the low end might be out the, just off the map, and it causes problems when you're pressing it. So they have to do this additional processing to kind of correct it. But it's like sometimes they just apply it without listening to it. Right. Sometimes it is subtle. Sometimes it is, and maybe it was subtle, and they thought we wouldn't notice or make it translate better. But I was like, yeah, this doesn't sound right, But I still haven't actually listened to my vinyl copy yet. Unfortunately, I haven't opened it.
Man. I can't. I can't listen to it anymore.
I never got a test press, so I didn't get to see the test press. But it seems like you guys all reviewed the test press and it was fine. I don't know, like I don't know what they did.
Wait,
maybe
you
they
never
did
gave the test press?
I never got a test press.
I didn't know that.
I mastered it.
I think I asked about it.
Yeah,
I think I asked about it, and then it was probably too late, and you guys had approved it, or the label did.
Yeah, the label approved
that.
it.
And
Jace
also
listened to it, and he was like, it was fine. And and Jace has pretty good ears.
I'll just say, once it's like halfway through mixing, I was just like, this is out of my hands, man. I don't even know. Like, I don't know anymore. Like, that's why I didn't have anything to say during mastering, because it was just like, I don't know,
sounds
man.
Good.
I don't know. Yeah, sounds good.
But yeah, so I'm assuming it was probably fine. Like they didn't have to send the test press back. It didn't sound bad, I'm assuming. So everyone said it sounded good. So, and Jay said it was fine. But yeah, really, all I did between the vinyl and digital version was I put a limiter on it, which is a form of compression that. And I could go on and explain this, and sometimes it's really hard for me to explain because it's like, how do I make this simple for like a non-audio engineer? Yeah, that's
There's
a good point.
Ceiling.
The ceiling, you lower the ceiling, and it squashes the signal more. And to get it louder, you have to squash the ceiling even more. So you bring the threshold down to clamp the signal down, and in turn, you could bring the level up without it distorting. Well, it can be driven into distortion at some point, but and there's always a little bit of distortion added at a low level when you're doing that. But you don't want to do that for the vinyl because, again, it will cause the problems when you're pressing it. So, or they'll have to artificially lower it before pressing, and it might still cause problems since it's like compressed so much. But really, yeah, that's the only difference I had to do with that.
That was like when Rich got that aborted vinyl, and it was like the CD master on there.
Oh,
and it was like super like
sounded really bad.
Yeah, it sounded real bad. That record's sick though.
Which record was it?
It was Global Flatline, the first like comeback record they did.
Nice.
Yeah, that was sick.
That band's pretty awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And then throughout the whole process, how much communication was there between you three guys, like working together with it? Or was it kind of like, I did my part, here you go? Like,
it was, yeah, I guess it was.
Did you guys get to talk a little bit?
I came in late. I came in at the end, so I didn't really. Yeah, I asked Pete for one small revision about like the cymbals. It was very small. I was like, hey, is it cool if you try this? Try to tweak something with this to make it less, forward in the mix. And then I'm sure there was other revisions he did too on that revision based off of things he was hearing or the band's input. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure what was it, like 3 or 4 revisions overall, maybe less.
Yeah, I don't recall.
It wasn't that many. I remember you said it was like very
for each song.
It depended. Different songs there were like some songs I think that had 4 revisions, and then some I think might have had 8 or 9. But the ones that had 8 or 9 were more like more editing, like more of like fading in and out, and like kind of like not really mixed stuff per se. But generally like 4 to 6. As I was going through the tracks earlier today, I saw like I mark them all like V4, 5, whatever. Right. So so for at least for an album of this length and with this many elements, that's like not bad.
Yeah. It seemed like it was pretty smooth.
Yeah, that's like a pretty average, like 3 to 4 is usually like what I would consider like average, at least for stuff that I put out. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once I was done tracking it, I hadn't heard it again until I think after the mastering was done.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was the first time that I had heard it back, and I was like, "Whoa, cool!"
Oh, wow.
It's like sweet. So
Yeah, I think we did one mastering revision, pretty much.
Oh wow,
You
okay.
know, It was very
Nice
slight.
and simple. That's
Yeah.
good.
And the mastering process seemed pretty quick.
Yeah.
From what I
Yeah.
remember.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys enjoy Spenser Too Crazy?
The challenge with, I think, the main challenge in mastering was the sequence. Because we had to figure out what worked for
right.
vinyl and how to like make it. Because the album is continuous for the most part.
Right.
And,
Yeah, the transitions are awesome. Like when I got the album, I put it in my car and like obviously I'm driving, so I'm not paying attention to the track. You know, I just know that I was like, oh, all right, we're on track 3 or we're on track 4. And I just let it go. And it's awesome. It's pretty seamless throughout. After so many listens, now I finally get the hang of it. But yeah, what goes into that?
Well, yeah, we had to figure out how we would like change the transitions between the songs. Like, okay, we're gonna add a fade in and fade out to these two songs where it's gonna flip sides on the vinyl, or we're gonna make it like the tracks, since they bleed into each other and they were recorded. So like one song is mixed in one session, another song's mixed in another, and so like a vocal tail, I forget what the song was, but the vocal tail bleeds out of one song into the beginning of another, and that's on the one track, and the other song doesn't have that in the track.
Oh, okay.
So what we had to do, I think we just ended one side of that, I think it was side C.
Is that Eat into Willow?
Yeah, Eat into Willow.
Yeah. So basically, one of the sides just ended with like the vocal bleeding out over nothing.
Yeah.
And then the next side began with the song starting without the vocal, I think.
It does have the
vocal?
vocals and the drums, and then the
Okay.
end of Eat is just the vocals.
Okay. Yeah. So things like that. That's really what like added time to the mastering process, really. I think the mastering overall took like 2 months because it was just like back and forth, like, oh, we need to fix this, we need to fix that with like the layout and everything. And like there's like some like small noise reduction things that I was able to do on my end, just like clicks and pops and stuff like that. That could have been from anywhere. It could have been during the recording process. It became apparent. It could have been from the mastering process because it was going through all analog gear and it was adding, additional noise to that. I guess a master's from a guy that does a great job, but he uses I always have him do all analog gear and it adds a lot of noise to it because he runs it through like a tape machine and it's kind of a noisy tape machine. So I'll hear stuff and I'll even correct stuff on my end and send it back to him. Like, okay, I'm going to run it through this plugin to remove what I'm hearing. Cause he'll be like, oh, I don't actually hear this. Like, yeah, I hear some tape hiss. I'm like, oh, it sounds like it's like actually crackling. So there's like noise reduction plugins made by like Waves and Isotope that could, get rid of audio artifacts when this happens. So there's like one small part I had to do that. It was like a click or something on a piano part, because I think it was a real piano that was being recorded. So, it's kind of noisy.
It was a noisy room.
Yeah, what did you for like the piano stuff? What'd you end up using?
There was a baby grand.
I think that's right.
Where was that tracked at?
At Jace's boss's house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
not
really?
house. Well,
His
I think he
studio.
lives there. Yeah, he lives
He
on
calls it
the
the cave.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
out
the
in, like,
cave.
Okay,
Evanston.
yeah.
Like a home studio, but it's nice kind of.
Yeah.
They're like
exactly.
connected, right? Like it's the same building.
I
Right?
think somebody lives in the back of it, or at least like they did when we were there, I
Yeah.
believe. But the front of it, like it's like 2 rooms. Like you basically have the control room, and then there's like a bathroom, and then like what I would call like a live room, but it's pretty small.
Okay.
It's actually funny. A couple of my coworkers there are actually like working out of there now. So
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't even remember what mics we used because they had a couple like they were just like large diaphragm condensers. I don't remember the brand. They weren't like a big brand, but they sounded really good and I was happy with it. I think we just used some. They had like a couple different preamps, but I'm pretty sure it was just like some Brent Averill preamps, if I'm not mistaken. So.
And did you guys end up doing acoustic guitars there as well?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what about the upright bass that Craig did?
That was there too.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
we just had like the studio for like 2 days. We did all that stuff. So acoustic, guitar, upright bass, and piano. Is there something else I'm forgetting? Did we do some percussion
acoustic-
or something?
I don't think so. Piano, upright bass, 2 acoustic guitars. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I fucked with some like muted string stuff on the piano, but it's pretty. I mean, you can't even tell that it's in the songs because it's so. I put it in the wrong spots basically.
Hey, it's fun to experiment. Right?
Yeah.
What did you guys end up using for acoustic guitars?
I think so. Jace has like a nylon guitar, and there's some nylon stuff on there, and then for like the actual like steel string guitars, we used my Taylor GS Mini, like just small guitar. Yeah, there's not really anything that I.
Why are you guys throwing all these small guitars at Max?
That was that was another thing we actually dealt with. He was like, it's so small, my fingers can't. And also like Adrian writes some parts where it's like really high up on the acoustic guitar neck, which is kind of like non-guitaristic. But so he's over there with his giant hands trying to like grab a chord. It was pretty funny.
Oh man, why are you doing that to him?
Because he needs it.
Yeah.
He needs it. He needs to work on it.
He needs it.
Let's see. So now that the album's done, it's out in the world, everybody's listening to it. Is there anything that you would change going back, if you could? Any of you guys?
Dude,
is there anything? Because
I
I know working on stuff, I always like once it's out there, I'm like, fuck, I wish I changed this. I wish I did this. I wish I did that.
I can't.
Is it a laundry list of stuff you wish you could change?
Man, I can't answer that.
For me, like there's one obvious one that was just kind of difficult, and it was like the piano because you brought it up, so it's in recent memory. It's just like not in tune. Like it was pretty difficult to like.
I actually
work
like
around
how
it
it sounds.
So, it sounds creepy, right?
Yeah.
Like it has a
It
vibe
sounds
to it.
Eerie, yeah, it's fucking sweet.
So it's
That's
not
a good accident, though. Like
Yeah,
a
I
good
think in some ways
recording
it is,
accident, yeah.
but it was also just something that we struggled with because when it came time to record the upright bass had to tune to the piano, and it was a struggle.
man.
You know, we had to work around it, and like for the most part, it was I think it turned out okay. You know,
Melodyne anything?
I don't think I
To get
Melodyne,
'em
no,
fixed.
but I think that
Is
there
that-
was
is that auto-tune?
a tuner
That's how you can
on
tune
there.
instruments. It works fairly well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's
piano.
definitely like.
How about you? Because you tracked your drums so long ago, like it had to be.
Yeah, I would change a lot of shit. I mean, the way the whole.
Your drumming is phenomenal, on it, by the way.
It's all right. I mean, the second half of the second half of the record was written a lot more, what felt like a lot more seamlessly than the beginning of the record. But that's because like we had like the first few songs written for this record years ago. So like,
Right, I think I do
like
remember.
I mean,
hearing
I don't know
that.
how long we've been playing. We've been here before. The first song on the record,
At least 24.
2015.
Yeah, as late as 2015, as early as 2014.
So I mean, that's a song that's like that, Beneath the Forest Floor and Cellar, and those songs. I'm pretty sure.
Nightfall was finished at the end of 2015. So and then Eat was like spring of 2016. Willow was spring, summer. Old Friend and Color were November, December.
Yeah, so like everything just kind of like started to flow a lot more, and like it was like what I remember the most is once Max joined our band, like things just started to like skyrocket as far as productivity went. Like we were going to Max's house when he still had his house all the time to do pre-production for the record. Like
Yeah, what are you guys gonna do for the next album now that Max doesn't have the house?
go to his parents' house.
There you go,
man.
Just reamp there.
I know, we'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
I mean, like his parents have a big fucking house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the fact that like a lot of the stuff, a lot of the pre-production was also me just learning those songs, just because like they were so fresh at the time, and like and, you know, I was still getting acclimated to them. Like now when we play them, like I'll add shit where I'm like, oh, this was sick. I wish I fucking thought of it like when we were recording.
That happens.
Yeah, I mean that does happen though with like everything. I mean, even with Roman Reigns shit, like it's the same thing where I'm like, oh, this is way cooler, and I never thought of it like that. But yeah, I mean that's probably it. I would change some drum parts towards the second half of the record now that like we've played it longer, and like I mean I know it better than I did when we were going in there. But I mean that's pretty much it. That's all I would change maybe.
I think that stuff's cool though, because like when somebody goes to see you live, it's not going to be the same exact.
Yeah.
True.
thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is
That's
fun.
cool.
I think
Like
there's definitely some positives that come out of that.
on tour we
Yeah.
had some 45-minute sets, and we played the last song on the record.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to hear that song live so bad.
It's hard.
I know. It comes out swinging. Like that
Yeah.
track is awesome. Yeah. Because I asked you about that, and you mentioned that you guys did play it once, And I was there for that show.
Yeah, the bottom of the basement of Sub. The bottom
Sub-T.
of Sub.
The bottom of
yeah,
Sub.
the bottom.
Sub T, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bottom of Sub Lounge.
We played it there once, and then we did it a few times on this past.
So have you guys played all the songs live so far?
No, we've
What
played
haven't you?
every song except Old Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like
Right. No, I know.
the big Prague crown jewel, which is like hard to. I mean, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of figuring it out. The thing it's like, not to go on a tangent right now, but the thing is like all the tours we've been doing are with bands where I feel like that song might not make a lot of sense, and we're opening. You know what I mean? Like we're playing a 30-minute set, and how long is that song? Like 12 minutes? Yeah. So there's half of our set, and then like most of the audience, not to discredit them, I just don't think they would fucking understand it.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there are. I mean, we will do it.
And people already have a hard time like getting the more normal songs.
Yeah.
Like,
It's going to get weird, man. I mean,
yeah.
definitely like even the other shit we'll do from here on out is just going to be weirder, I'm sure. And like, we'll see how it goes. You know, we'll see if people get it. But I don't know. When I hear when I hear voice now, it just sounds so like it feels very straightforward to me, even though it's not a straightforward record compared to certain bands, I guess. But like, for those songs, maybe it's just because like we know that. We know that record a lot now, and
Right. It doesn't quite surprise you anymore.
exactly.
Yeah.
Things are gonna get cooler for sure.
Fair enough. What about you guys?
More
going back
gross
to that?
parts.
Yeah,
Grosser
definitely.
parts. Yeah. But yeah, going back to that question, anything you guys would do differently if you could do it again?
No, I mean, if I had a chance to mix it again, I'd probably be better
Yeah.
this time around, but maybe not.
I don't know. How
Maybe
could it
not.
get
I don't
much
know.
better, right?
There's like nothing
Pretty
on my
good,
end that I was just
yeah.
like, oh, I
Much,
totally
much
like biffed
worse.
that. Like, you know. So yeah, there's nothing.
Nice. All right, so now we can get to the dick and fart part of the show. We can talk about whatever you want now, I think.
Oh, okay. Wait, but can I say?
Is there anything you guys want to add
This is what I
about it?
really
Yeah.
came for.
I was gonna say if there's anything like one thing that I would like, if I had a genie and they were like, hey,
You get a wish.
you
Get
get
3
to
wishes.
go back in time and redo one thing on the album, I would probably redo all of the vocals.
What?
I would keep the distortion the same and everything, but I would change my tone because I have a hard time going back listening to it now.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
And that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything else about the album you guys want to add to it that I may not have asked? And
You know, I had a lot of fun working because you mentioned Max's
questions
house.
for each other.
Yeah.
Like I had a ton of fun just working out of Max's house. It was like super comfortable, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like a weird thing because I would have to like drive out there, or like after my car broke down, I'd hitch a ride with Jace or whatever.
Yeah, because where do you live at?
He lives in Glen Ellen.
Glen Ellen.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a trek,
It's a bit of a hike, yeah.
but like it's just a really cool space to work in. Like
Yeah.
it had high ceilings, really nice like windows. When we reamped, I think we spent like 2 days there, and like it was really nice light and just like easier to get comfortable and.
But
Keep an eye
anyway,
on Alex.
yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
what's
Definitely.
cool about like that was like the last, if you watch our full music video, the last song, Color of My Memory, was filmed. Half of it's like, most of it's filmed in Max's house. And Max sold his house. So it's like little goodbye
Yeah.
to like a lot of the shit that we did there.
And the music garage, that's in the video too.
Oh yeah.
For a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and just to clarify, so it was like drums got recorded at Bricktop.
Yes.
I recorded bass DI with Alex in my apartment. We recorded guitars mostly at pretty much at Max's house.
Okay.
And then we reamped them at Max's house after the fact. And then vocals we recorded like in your guys' practice space and a bunch of you did them at home, so it was kind of all over the place. And we also
I'm
worked
amazed
at
that
the
the
cave,
vocals
so.
came out as even as they did.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
Well, it's all
I-
Pete.
Yeah.
You know.
I had no idea
Probably 'cause
what I
there's
was
so much
doing.
damn distortion
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So it was cool,
that's
like
awesome.
doing a record in so many different
Badass,
places. It's
yeah,
not an
that's-
experience
that's
I've had
cool. No,
before, you know.
It's fun
Yeah.
doing it like that.
It sort of
it?
presented a couple challenges, but like for the
Yeah.
most part, it was just like great to like get into different environments.
Yeah.
And each different place kind of brought something different to the table. And like at Max's place, we were able to like be as loud as we wanted. And since we were recording everything, how did we do it? We did it DI. Oh yeah, so he has an Axe-Fx, so we recorded everything with the Axe-Fx initially, and then reamped it through real amps later. But there's like tons of feedback on the record, so we would set up a separate cabinet and run. He has a power amp for his Axe-Fx, so we'd run a separate cabinet, and for depending on how we wanted the feedback to sound, I would like filter out like just the low end to have the low end creep in, or
that's cool.
just the high end for like screechier stuff. And it was really cool, like being able to just do that on the fly. So that was a really fun part of it.
It's funny because like I always, and I've talked about this with Nate a lot, but like you watch band documentaries like a day in the life of Metallica where it shows like, you know, shit about when they were recording the Black album, and it was like
Yeah, I love that documentary.
bands back then, you know, especially a band that big, it was like they had infinite money and infinite resources basically to create whatever the fuck they wanted with anything they wanted. You know what I mean? Like they have access to record with Bob Rock whenever and like do whatever right in the studio, you know, like, and that's such
The album cost like $2 million.
like that's insane. It's insane. And they had it,
think
like
about
they
that
had the
today.
money.
I want to do that.
And I mean, think about how much money that album probably still makes, like a shitload. And it's so funny to me because it's like, I can't think of any, at least metal bands on any, I mean, maybe some on that level where they have that type of like money and creative expression and chance to like have an experience like that. But it's so funny how like recording, like it's just so changed over time, you know? And it's like in a way recording at Max's, it's like, yeah, I guess we can do, you know, whatever we want, but we're obviously limited on more resources. But it's cool to hear stories about like, oh, we just did this cool thing with, you know, feedback with this cab. And it's like, yeah, that is cool. Like that's sick.
Yeah.
And
You just make it work.
Yeah.
And find a way.
yeah, and then there's still like a story to tell from that, even though we don't have like a sick DVD of like me and being Lars and like Jace being James or something and us yelling at each other or some shit like that. But
Aspirations for the next record.
yeah, definitely got to get more fights. So
You got to do crazier locations.
Yeah.
You guys have to find a good therapist too.
yeah, we will. We
Yeah.
definitely. We definitely will. Yeah.
This is definitely a band that needs therapy. That's a bunch of fucking weirdos.
Dude, we're cool, man. I don't know what you're talking
I don't know
about.
about that.
Seriously though, kudos to you guys for doing so much with like so like, you know, and not to say you guys were like limited in any way, but it's not like you guys had a giant budget or a record.
Yeah.
You guys, and you guys like not only did a record like, you know, properly, like sounds awesome start to finish, and like you guys did a full length video for the whole thing. Like seriously, that's not an easy accomplishment or task. So
Yeah.
And the three of us all appreciate you working with us.
Oh,
Keeping it within the family, essentially.
I think it's awesome.
You could have gone and worked with anybody else. Like you guys, you know.
and it's also super cool to like collaborate with you guys who I've known for a while now. It's like
Is this
great to be a
like
part of something.
Is this just like a compliment ambush happening? Good God.
Coming.
What's interesting too
That's amazing.
you know, me and Pete both did shootouts, and you guys still went with us. Like over other
That's-
people.
what do you mean?
Yeah. Well, we both did shootouts, and you still found that you're like, all right. It's still not only do we know these guys, but it's also beneficial, like what their test master, their test mixes were.
Yeah,
You know,
Oh,
to
yeah.
the level what we need them at. You know, it's not just because we're friends with them. It's like
Because you guys are sick at what you do.
Thank
That's
you.
the whole
We
thing.
appreciate
You know,
it.
it's just like that's the cool part because
it
everybody's
makes
like,
me feel good.
I'm also very attracted to both of you. Actually, I thought
There was an
that maybe,
ulterior
I
motive.
thought that maybe
there it is.
if I showed you guys my music, you might see into my heart.
yeah.
You guys are gonna meet
I'll hook
too,
you up with the
Adrian.
Slim Tino connection, dude.
Slim
Yeah,
Tino.
that's
Yeah,
what you
dude.
really. That's right. That's the real reason.
Hell yeah.
You want a guest spot?
I mean, I don't know, like, and people ask us all the time. They're like, "Oh, who mixed and mastered this and recorded this?" And it's just like, I'm like, "Oh yeah, just our friends back home." Like, and it's, you know, it's cool that I mean, yeah, we're all friends, but like you guys are just good at what you fucking do. And like,
I've
recommended
cool.
like and there's been people who like message me. They're like, "Who did your record? Who did your record?" And I'm like, "These guys," and go to them. You know,
I've had a few people talk to me too.
I've definitely had a bunch of like told people all three of you guys' names for shit.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to get Otme to record their next record at Bricktop. Yeah, I've been pumping it in them, and I think Craig's been asking me about it all the time. So I think that might be a reality.
Yeah, I would honestly say like Warforged has brought me more work than probably anything else I've done.
Awesome.
So
yeah, good.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Fuck yeah.
Excuse me. I had to burp.
That's fine.
Pardon
That's
me.
a sick burp.
Yeah.
That's like another cool thing is like your guys' material lends itself to like experimentation in a really cool way where it's like you can have fun with it as an engineer. You know, you're not just like limited by like a genre that already has like set expectations of what something needs to sound like. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you have a lot of room to like mess around with sounds. And like one of my favorite things was like working on voice, like doing the effects or whatever, you know, like the feedback. And I used a lot of this plugin called Little Plate from
I love that plugin.
It's amazing.
Love that
It's
plugin,
amazing.
yeah.
You can put it on everything. So,
What is it? Wait, what is it called?
Little Plate.
The infinite
Plate.
setting.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's just like soundscape right there. And I used a lot of that, and yeah, it just like creates such a cool ambience. But yeah, it was really cool to be able to like experiment in that way where it's not just like, hey, just put reverb on a vocal. It's like, all right, we need to create like a really cinematic sort of experience or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Sounds always give us a sponsorship. We are hyping you guys up.
Decapitator, delay's amazing. What the Devil Lock or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, that's
Devil
a
Lock
good one.
Deluxe, amazing. I love that one. That's what we were using in your vocals when we first did vocals for Essence of the Land.
Really?
Yeah, that was
Also,
That's cool. I like
vocals
that
also
thing.
had sound toys, microshift.
Oh,
Nice,
excellent.
Yes,
That's
had
a good
little
one.
bit of
Very
that
good
on all the
one,
main
yeah.
vocals. Yeah.
Nice. I love that effect of like detuning. Like I'll do like Waves has, I can't remember what
The
it
Waves
is.
Doubler?
Just a
Doubler, yes,
yeah.
exactly. That's what it is. Yep. That's a great plugin.
Yeah.
I
Just a
still
nice
use that all
widener.
the time. Yeah, simple.
That was
We're gonna
another
start
question I
talking
wanted
shop.
to ask you was obviously you wrote this album, you had it pretty fleshed out in the guitar profiles, right?
Yeah.
Once you started the recording process, how much did the writing change at all? Or was it like you pretty much had that foundation? Or was there any, like Paul said, you guys got to experiment. Did that add anything, like
I
change up
think
your ideas or whatever?
the foundation was in the Guitar Pros. By the time we got to pre-pro, we had a good idea of like what mainly with the guitars, because that's like the most that requires the most planning between the both of them because the chords are very specific. By the time we got to pre-pro, that was somewhat fleshed out. Pre-pro helped like smooth everything out a lot. Like if we didn't do pre-pro and we started like meeting with you to record guitars, we'd be fucked. Like for sure, for sure.
Was it just you guys that worked on the pre-pro?
What do you mean?
Like just the band? Or
Oh
did you
yeah,
get input
yeah.
from it?
No,
Okay.
no, it's just a band. Right?
Yeah,
Right?
no,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
That does remind me though. Oh, I don't want to interrupt, but I was gonna say like that we constantly had this like slogan of like refer to the Guitar Pro, refer to the Guitar Pro.
Yeah,
People would be
yeah.
like, wait, am I playing the right chord here? Is this the right note? Or like I'll hear something and I'll be like, oh, this sounds like this is clashing. Is this right? And then it's like, all right, Guitar Pro, pull it up. Like, let's see.
That's what it says. That's what it
was-
says.
exactly.
Guitar Pro, man.
And sometimes
Gotta go to
I'd
the
say
Guitar
like,
Pro.
hey, I think it sounds better this way. But then like, you know, they'll be like, nope. Like we already talked
Yeah.
about this
Like,
before.
that's
We
the
know
way,
that this is
okay.
the way it has to
There's
be.
a-
And I'm like,
there's
all
a-
right.
There's
Hands
a
off.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
That's a good guy to have. I mean, like when I was doing
Right.
pre-pro drums, I recorded on Max's. He's got like a V drums kit from Roland, and like
nice, yeah.
we just pull up the Guitar
and
Pro, and I'd
simple.
look over the part if I didn't know, and I'd be like, "Here we go," you know.
Yeah.
It was cool. That was also really cool too, because like I know conventionally it's like, oh, you could have just programmed the drums, but it's like it helped me understand a lot of those parts better. and
Right, yeah.
That way, like. We did kind of the same thing we did with Roman Ring too before we hit the studio. Like I practiced the songs to a click a few times. Like we had band practice with that, and
Right.
then we rolled up.
Yeah,
in
it's a
there.
great tool. I mean,
It's great. I'm playing to a click now live with what we do. I love it so much.
yeah,
It's so.
tell the
It's like
Roman
playing
guys
with a.
to
It's
do
like
that.
buying a cheat code. It's like buying a fucking. What was
Game
it?
Genie.
Yeah, dude.
Game Shark, yeah.
Who was the company that made all those strategy guides?
Prima. Like the Prima guides.
Could have been that.
In your click mix live, there are no drums in it, right?
Yeah, there's drums. There's a whole track of the record in there.
Track? Wow.
Yeah.
So you're playing to your recorded drums live.
Yep.
And that's
Wow.
fucked up.
Yeah, that is fucked.
I don't have anything. Yeah.
Why?
It just helps. I mean, it helps me. Like, I just asked for everything because, like, I tried doing it with just the guitars, but like, there's so many layers to this fucking record. Like, when I'm hearing it on headphones, and you're also getting, obviously it's not muting everything, so I'm still getting in like wherever we're at on stage.
Right. Yeah.
Like the drums sometimes help for guidance. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
I mean, like, there's a lot of like.
Is it mixed like pretty low? Like the
Yeah,
drums?
it is low.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it is
figured.
low. The click's loud, the loudest part. Like,
because I just feel like it'd be so distracting to hear like the flamming of the drums.
Right.
as you're
yeah,
playing.
no. The drums there is definitely a separate mix that me and Jace did where the drums are quieter than everything else, but it's still there just in case it's like there's a part in We've Been Here Before that's like this big wall of noise kind of part. Yeah, and like on the recording it gets so huge and it's just like fuck, like this it's easy to get off. Like
Yeah.
I sometimes struggle with that. So it's like having the drums there, it helps me a shitload.
Gotcha.
I think I only fucked it up like once or twice on this tour.
That's interesting.
So, but yeah, I got the timing right for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it helps me. And like, yeah, some people are like, how could you do that? I'm like, I don't know, it's easy. Like, works for me.
If it works, it works.
Yeah.
Wait, so do all you guys have your own like in your like tracks or like how do
Just
you
me.
do it?
No, just him.
Okay.
Just
And
him.
like, if for transitions, I just do hi-hat clicks.
Got
I mean,
it.
it would be
Yeah,
awesome
one
if we all
day.
had in-ears. Yeah,
one
and
day,
like,
that would
Yeah.
be the shit.
we don't have to do that. So that is like me and Max and Jace have talked about that a lot. Like just getting like an in-ear setup for everybody, so we don't have to do the whole hi-hat click shit.
Now, all that stuff's
Yeah.
getting more and more affordable every day. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
only a matter
exactly.
of time before you guys switch over.
Pretty much, yeah.
Can't wait. I
Yeah.
just can't wait.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. I dig it. I bought in-ears before this tour, like Shure in-ears, and they're great. And they're
Oh, nice. Not
They help
using
out
the,
a shitload.
The Vic.
no,
cans
not anymore. They're too fucking huge on my head, and I get so
Yeah.
sweaty, and it's all disgusting. I keep it as a backup. I bring them with me
Yeah,
on tour.
for sure. Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's cool to not have those.
Dude, I've gone through like 8 of those in the studio. Those Vic Firth ones.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
like break. Like you look at them wrong, and then I hit them up about like a warranty, and they're like, no, this is only meant for personal use for the warranty. I'm like, all right, never buying these again.
It's ridiculous. It sucks because, and it's like they should just make. It's always like the cable that fucks up. Just make it so you can attach different
Detachable
cables to
cable.
headphones. Yeah. It's like, but no, you
That'd
have to
probably be a
spend
pretty easy
$80.
mod to do.
They're cheap as fuck though. Through Zounds, I think I paid cost on those things are so fucking cheap.
How cheap?
Wow.
Like $20.
I need headphones.
Yeah.
How
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
you don't wanna
know if
use
I'd
those.
recommend those.
No.
Not for like listening.
No.
What
not
about
at
for
all.
recording?
I mean, yeah, isolation. Like if
Yeah.
you want no like bleed at all, it's a
Because
good
I don't.
option.
I had earbuds, but I lost them.
I mean, you could try mine if you want. See how you feel about them.
Yeah,
Like
that'd be
They're not very
nice.
flattering headphones. They're like very utilitarian.
That's
And they
fine.
hurt
I mean,
too,
not,
dude.
not
They
for
hurt my
I,
fucking ears.
I
They
want
clamp
for at
down,
home
don't they?
for
Yeah.
recording at home.
And we're
Yeah.
talking about the Vic for like drum
Yeah.
isolation.
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to be
Honking
sure.
ones,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, you don't want to
If you're
like
gonna go
kick
cheap,
those
just
on the
buy
bus.
some mono price headphones.
Dude, the monoprice
Yeah.
ones, we've
Yeah.
had those for like 8 years, and I think I bought like 8 of them, and we have like 5 that are still working.
Wow.
That's not
That
bad.
haven't
How
broken,
much?
which is
Yeah,
pretty good.
that's
Yeah,
really
that's pretty
good.
good.
Are they
Yeah.
cheap?
Yeah, they're like $15-20.
How do they sound?
I mean, good enough for tracking.
Right.
No one's ever complained about them.
Yeah.
It's funny. We at
And
the
many people have walked away from the headphone station, and the cord just comes out.
Oh, nice. Look at
big
that.
plus.
Yeah.
It's like
used
the
to have-
gas pump. It
Yeah.
breaks it.
I mean, Adrian, if you, depending on what you could afford, I mean, just figure out a price range and hit Jason up. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we can give you recommendations and he can get it for you.
Yeah. See,
He can get the deal for you.
I was thinking about that
Just
the
get
other
DJ
day because
headphones so you could listen.
I just all I want to do is like I want to look at this meeting of minds right now. I want to
We've come to
have
advise
you
your
guys.
purchases.
Yeah, man, you guys plus Jason, Max, and Alex. There's no low IQ people allowed, so Alex will not be allowed. But us, the smart people, I just want to like I just want to say, guys, this is what I want to do. What gear do I need to do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, I don't know.
You could poll us forever, and you can see what we all agree on.
Everyone's
got their own opinion.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And that price range, say like
a blind test.
$150. What do you think I should get?
Oh,
And
dude,
ask everyone.
This should be a contest.
Yeah,
Like a prize.
guys, I'm so sorry. I'm starting a group chat. I'm gonna bug the shit out of you guys. Fuck, man. Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
This is a good idea. Wow. Yeah, let's do
What
that.
have you gotten us into?
Yeah, man. Fuck, man. Now you guys are
4 in the
hooked in.
morning.
Yeah.
My
I mean, that's when it's gonna be. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
Should I get White Claw or Truly?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
It cause a big argument.
You guys like titties or you like ass?
Start polling our personal opinions.
You got a little bit of Alex in you right now.
I don't have Alex in me.
Crinkling here.
Alex is always
Alex has me in him.
Are there any questions you guys have for each other about the album? Or at least between you three. I talk to you guys all the time
I
about
don't know.
it.
Spencer and I have talked in our own time, and
Pete was there when I recorded drums, so that takes away a lot of questions.
They already talked.
Gab amongst each other. What kind of as far as mastering goes, what kind of hardware did you use?
Okay, this is gonna be hard to remember because I had pictures and they're gone. On the phone I lost, and I didn't.
I know you mentioned you went through an API 2500.
I did.
Yep.
Not
Lightly.
compressing.
I barely. It was like very light. The API 2500.
Yep.
I think I went through the Neve tape emulation hardware. I think I went through.
Was it the Portico one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I went through a. Let me pull up the Decade website.
I feel like you might have tested this to me at one point.
Retro 2A3, which is a dual Paultec style EQ.
Oh, duh.
That thing sounded really good. A
Paultec?
Sphere Eclipse, which were some rare recording console from the 70s and 80s.
It's a cool name.
They make like 900 versions of the EQs.
Okay.
Sounded pretty good. It was like a graphic EQ. I used that, the Paultec. I used another one. I can't remember. I think I used the Millennia. It's the Millennia NS EQ2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is
Plug-in align. I think I have the plug-in version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does UA make a plugin of that? I feel like they.
It's
more than likely.
It's I know it's through Plug-in Alliance through I think Brainworks maybe.
Oh, okay.
Probably, yeah.
But I know they do. They have a lot of.
There's lots of
UA
crossover.
plugin.
Yeah.
So that's
Like
probably,
Soft Tube goes through UA too. Like
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
other stuff.
Oh, I used the Chandler Zener limiter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How did
for
you
a
like
little
that?
bit. It was pretty cool. It sounded. I had it. I was actually hitting it
Man,
harder.
that thing
at
just got
first.
smothered with Transformers then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hitting it kind of hard at first, and that's when Jace asked me to back it down a little bit. It was going through Burl converters.
Nice.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was coming out of the Burl converters and then into a Lavry Gold, I think, or Lavry
okay.
Blue.
I've never
I
used
think it's the
Lavry
Lavry
stuff.
Blue 2-channel. Let me see here.
The Burl stuff is excellent.
Yeah, the Burl
I use
stuff is
that
great.
a lot.
I've been eyeing the B2
Yeah.
You
The
should
B2
definitely
ADC.
get it. You
That's
should
a good one.
definitely get
because
it.
I mix
Lavry Blue.
primarily
yeah.
out of the box,
Yeah.
and I just want it to come back in and
Yeah.
and hit that.
So the Lavry Blue is a D to A, so it was on the way back in, and you could kind of saturate it in a weird way,
Mhm.
kind of like tape,
Like clip
you know?
it, like
yeah, you could kind of clip
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I noticed that the harder I was driving it, the less they liked it. They were like, "Oh, this is starting to
Yeah,
sound a
'cause
little too compressed." So I backed off the level, going back into Pro Tools, and I was like, "Cause I kind of liked it. I kind of liked how
Yeah.
it sounded. It wasn't clipping on the meter yet, but it was close." And when we backed it off, we're like, "Okay, this is probably the better way to go," you know.
Yeah, because I think
Because I know you did some hardware stuff.
Yeah, on the
you
mix.
know.
Yeah, I
on
ran
the
through
mix
my
bus and
ran
stuff.
through my summing mixer,
Yeah.
an Antelope Satori,
Cool.
and then that goes into my louder than liftoff silver bullet, which is like a it's got a bit back EQ, and it's also got like basically a Neve circuit and an API circuit. So
Yeah.
and you can cascade into them. So I used the Neve and the going into the API version of that, and then that went into my A Designs nail compressor, just like
Yeah.
just shaving, just nipping,
Yeah.
nipping
People
the tip.
say not to do that before mastering. I kind of think it's crucial. I think you have to, because you're not going to know how it's going to sound after mastering, and you have to have a little bit of that glue and that.
And I send
saturation.
everyone mix revisions with the L2 on it. Or not the L2, the Pro L on it.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. And
I always send the two separate.
Yeah.
I'll send like one where it's like, okay, this is what it might sound like, with the L2 on it, or delimiter on it, and it's just like it's cool to put a bunch of stuff on the mix bus. You just don't want to get too crazy with it, because it's like
little by little. Just,
And it depends on your monitoring. Like Pete's studio, especially now, you guys just did that redesign in your A room. It's easier to make decisions like that where you're like, okay, this is gonna work. You could be like, all right, I could do this and run it through this and this and this, and if it sounds good enough here and it sounds proper, and I know it's gonna translate because you know the speakers, you know the room, and you also know that it's like you've literally. At this point, you guys have like gone through every last bit of your monitoring, your converters, the room itself. You just redesign, and even like SonarWorks, which flattens the room. It's it's an EQ. It's essentially an EQ plugin, but you're able to scan the room and figure out where the frequency anomalies, and even I guess some of the time like domain, I guess.
I don't think there's any time, but there's phase. There's two different phase modes where you can do linear phase, mixed, and then no latency mode. So when you're tracking,
Cool.
But yeah, it's nice. But yeah, it doesn't affect time stuff. So if you have like a pretty well controlled room like we have, it's kind of like the icing on the cake.
Right.
Where it's like
tightening up a little bit.
Like I knew the room really well before, but then once we put in SonarWorks, it was like, holy shit. Okay, now everything that I do in the room, I take it out and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much exactly what I expected it to be, and this is great.
I actually know a guy that uses SonarWorks to mix on like $1,000 pair of open back headphones.
I've got a $500 pair, the Shure 1840s, and I use SonarWorks with that. I don't have the room correction yet. I'm gonna get it here soon, but like it's very subtle.
He says it's the best he's ever mixed. Yeah,
really?
Like, I'm not even using monitors
if you're mixing on headphones, like everyone's like, you need SonarWorks. Like,
But the nice thing is, like, I have like $100 pair of Sennheisers.
Yeah, I got the same ones. Yeah.
It makes the 280 sound so much better.
I bet.
But with my Shures, it's like it's barely noticeable.
Oh, okay.
It's very subtle. So
are the Shures open back or
yeah,
no?
they are.
Okay.
So it shows that the Shures were made properly and almost as accurately as possible. But
you can't mix on 280s, or at least I haven't been able to make it work.
Yeah, it's a nice reference. I like them for tracking just because it's like they're kind of comfortable.
Yeah. I love them for tracking or like even just like listening to stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like I've tried mixing on them, and the low end is just so like out of the translation.
Low end and the mid range is a little honky. I notice it's like it makes me want to scoop stuff out, and then I listen on everything else. I'm like, oh, that's too much.
Yeah,
it's just like the sound of the headphones.
Yeah, they're not really made for that.
It helps fix that though. The SonarWorks plugin does. It's worth it, and they have pretty much every headphone model you could think of.
Oh, already like pre-mapped.
Yeah. There's like hundreds.
And you could also send your headphones to them.
You can actually send your personal.
Like they'll calibrate it to your specific headphones.
Really?
Yeah.
Every headphone is different.
Or you could buy pre-calibrated headphones. So
you could buy the headphones with the profile of that specific pair of headphones. Because even the same model of headphones, it's never going to be perfectly the same.
There's like tolerances.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
So you actually to make it totally accurate, you have to actually send it in.
Also, so just so like people listening can understand, so this is like software that basically will EQ your headphones, your monitoring to your room or your environment, so that you're not making mistakes while you're mixing.
I didn't understand any of that until
I feel like you two just like got lost.
Again, it's hard to describe this stuff.
Wow,
this is a podcast.
Well, I kept telling people, I was like, this particular episode is gonna be pretty nerdy, so heads up, guys. Like, So I was expecting this. It's all good. One question that popped in my head I wanted to ask. It's probably gonna be kind of like backtracking because we talked about so much about the process. But was there anything you guys did unique to this album that you've never done before?
The kick thing was new. Like I'd never really, honestly, the biggest reason that we went with the kick thing, aside from the fact that it's like convenient in a lot of ways, was the fact that I've done plenty of metal records where I've put like 3 mics, like inside, outside kick and a sub kick and pulled it up and it still just never worked out as good as like using a sample or blending a sample with it. And we're like, why go through all that effort and trouble? And like the editing is also another pain when you're trying to get super fast kicks to sound really consistent.
Since you guys did that, I have a Roland kick pad.
Oh my God.
look at that.
And has saved a handful of drummers,
dude,
and myself a lot of headaches,
dude. Okay,
there you
awesome.
go.
Glad it's.
But I got the Roland one with the little like feet that dig in because
that's super
I
important.
remember you were like really like having an issue with
Yeah.
And she had a brick, right? And she usually
yeah,
said,
we
We
got
left that like piece of 2x4 in the carpet that would like
was it.
prevent it from going, but I think we still had to
you
put
still
like
you have like sandbags and all
something.
this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get
jeez.
that one. And I got a different one, and it's like, yeah, I could tell like
Wow,
sometimes
so you
when a
tracked
drummer-
other bands with that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not even like technical bands, but like sometimes I just know like if a drummer setting up or like if I hear a band going for a certain thing, I'm like, how about we try this out? Like I just like if they're like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm like,
It's great.
Yes, all right.
Yeah, dude. It makes your it made my
Editing's
life
so much cleaner,
easier.
and
yeah.
then if it's a situation where you know you're going to be triggering the kick anyways or sound replacing, it's like, cool. Well, this just makes it good for everyone. And then the drummers have been like more receptive to it than I thought. I thought people would be like, people would be like, no man,
Right,
fuck that.
yeah.
Like
It's a weird fucking pride thing with a lot of drummers
But
where they're like,
I was expecting
oh my
like
God.
everyone to shoot
ego.
it down or be like, leery of me after that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but
No, it makes sense.
I don't know if I trust this Pete guy anymore.
yeah. But then
I get
like,
fine,
yeah,
dude.
we go through and it's like, oh, cool. Well, I don't care about your footwork as long as it's like I know what your intention was. Then
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah.
Like
It's like
and even if I don't know what it is, you could just tell me what it is, and
yeah.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's literally like as if, switching from an acoustic guitar to an electric guitar.
Yeah.
Like one part of the drum kit is just electric instead of acoustic.
Dude, there's bands now that tour with drum kits like that. Like
Yeah.
there's metal bands that have just a rolling kick pad and
think
then
it
the
was
rest
that
of
Dra-
it.
Dragon,
Or
they
Dragon
got the
Drummer
Force.
did that.
Who?
The band Phobia, I think.
Phobia? I don't know. Oh yeah, Zach Gibson.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy.
Zach
He did
Gibson
that.
does it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking the drummer for that slam band Within Destruction, his US kit, because they're from Ukraine.
Oh,
his
gotcha.
like a kit that
does
he keeps here. He's just got a rolling kick pad, and then the rest of it is like.
It
all
also seems
acoustic
like a great
drums.
way to cut back on space too.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, they
Seriously.
make like
Bass
kick
drum
pads now
mix,
that are actual drum heads.
Yeah, Roland makes
Yeah.
So
one.
that way
We
you
sell
don't
it
have to
at
like
Zounds.
look like a goof because that like live looks like
Yeah.
It does look
yeah,
a little
hilarious.
I was
You,
gonna
you have
say
to watch their feet then. You
Yeah.
don't get to hide their feet.
people
But
treat
you got
triggers so
to worry
often.
about the shorts they're wearing too. So you got to full
Yeah.
scope, like,
Yeah, man.
But if you got a lot of shin tattoos, it's got to be good for them. They can
Yeah.
show them off.
Or if they got a big low hanging scrotum, can really get a good look.
the whole crowd's
That's what I was alluding to, but I wasn't
Yeah,
going to go
man.
into that.
No,
way,
man.
to bring it down.
You're a family man. This is a PG podcast.
Sorry.
It's a family podcast.
That's why I said scrotum.
right.
The anatomically medical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I
That'd
think
be
it's cool. I
sick.
mean, it made the most. I think I heard it on the Ultimate Recording Machine podcast where, like, I think it was Mark Lewis or somebody was saying that, like, the only drummer that they would ever let use an actual kick drum because his feet were so fucking good was Shannon Lucas from Black Dahlia.
That makes
I think
sense,
this is
yeah.
something that we talked about when we started the Roman Ring album because that was Nate was like super dead set on using real drums and
Yeah.
it
That
is
sounds
kind of
like
a point
Nate.
of pride for him
Oh,
in
yeah.
some ways.
Yeah, it makes sense. I
He's
get it.
definitely Mr. Analog all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's
He's
funny.
he's got opinions about the way he wants things done and but I remember like getting things set up that night and then I went home and I did some research because I know that you like tune your kick drum super tight on one end and then it's like full of pillows and I'm just like how can I make this work? And that's when like I read that they're like, oh, they don't even use real kick drums at all. And that was really kind of what put that seed in my head of like maybe this is kind of pointless trying to get like a great sound out of like that type.
Yeah, it's like acclimated to triggers already, and it's like you're gonna use a trigger live. Like, I mean, I get it for parts that require more dynamics. You don't want a trigger on there.
Right.
It makes no sense. But
and that's
like,
why we did what we did. you know? Swap it out.
Exactly. But like, yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of drummers that have a pride thing about it, and like an ego thing where they're like, it's got to be real. 100%. I just don't care. I mean, like, I care.
Like that guy
like,
that IMs everyone asking if their record was done with real.
Yeah, we've gotten that message 3 times from that guy.
Oh my god.
Did you put any triggers on your drums?
yeah.
I got a story about that.
Please
I'll
tell
off
me.
the podcast.
Those drums are real.
Wait, are we talking about one person or a
No,
multitude?
this is like a whole
One guy.
collective of people.
Okay, because there's one dude that I know a lot of people get
There's
messaged
probably
by.
many of them,
guy.
yeah.
He said
Probably
he
the same guy,
said
yeah.
that he wanted to like write for his like publication or something, and then he asked if everything was real or if it was sampled, and he sent that same copy and pasted message like 2 or 3 times. I think.
Yeah.
Just like,
Did you not respond to him?
No.
Why bother?
No. I think no. I'm pretty sure we responded like the first time, and he just sent it again.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I might have. I'm sorry if I have this completely wrong, but I feel like he messaged for like 2 demons, and we answered him then, and then he messaged again for voice, and it's just like, well, I mean, whatever.
It probably
just
just
wish-
like pops up and he's like, all right, I've got to ask the band this question.
Yeah,
questionnaire.
I get again.
I wish people like him could like spend like a day or two like seeing a record get made or like mixed or something to see
yeah.
how much like magic actually happens, you know? Because I feel like for him, it's either like a black and white thing where it's like, oh, it's either real or it's fake. But it's like, do you
Right.
realize how many, like how much fakeness it takes to get your favorite albums to sound the way that they do?
Right.
It's like, oh,
you know?
at that point, it's
Everybody.
like,
But
you might
that
as
guy,
well.
I think, doesn't like that. I think he likes it sounding shitty if it sounds authentic.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's-
mean,
But at that point,
that's
you
the
like
guy's deal.
you can't use
That's a-
reverb. It's like, oh well, reverb's
Yeah,
off
that's
the
true.
table.
That's a good point.
Gates,
That's a good point.
Gates,
Yeah.
gates on close mics are off the
that's a good
table. It's
point.
like
Yep.
you're not,
yeah,
and
I
you're
agree.
also, are you listening to music or are you listening to your speakers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a
Right.
line where it's like, you can't enjoy anything anymore because in your head you have this like complex of like what was done to the sound before it came out of the
Yeah,
speakers.
it's
Like
ridiculous.
it's pretty absurd.
Yeah.
And half the time you can't even tell if it's actually fake in quotation marks.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I've been tricked. Like, I'll ask friends like when they were about their album, mix or other engineers. I'm like, oh,
Sorry.
they're like, oh yeah, it was all natural drums, or they'll be like, oh, it was all completely fake drums, And I'm like, oh wow, couldn't
Yeah,
even
the
tell.
technology is definitely caught up in the years, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny though, because like I went back and listened to something that I did like way before I was in Warforged. I was like super young. And it was, I want to say it was like Superior Drummer 2 or something. And I listened back to it and I laughed out loud because I was like, this sounded real to me when I was 17. Like,
yeah.
you know? And now I was like, it's so obviously fake.
I've tricked people.
Well, I was
With
surprised.
Superior Drummer, I've tricked people.
Wasn't
I
it the
believe it.
second
I've had people
Party
think it
album?
was. Yeah, I've had people think it was real.
Because I remember I hit you up. I was like, dude, it sounds awesome. Like,
It was
what'd you
that
do?
guy, that trigger guy, messaged us, and we lied to him. We're just like, yeah, it's real, but it was an E kit into Superior Drummer.
dude,
I hope he hears this. Fuck that guy.
I just
I
messaged
had
him.
a lot of mine war with him.
There's a page dedicated to making fun of that dude too.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's
Really?
Getting asked about if
Yeah.
we triggered that album by that one dork.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
funny.
he listens to this podcast.
Oh, it's so
Tell me what
funny.
the page is and I'll link
We
this
should
to him.
yo, imagine
It's like
if we
asking
got that
bands
guy.
if
Out
they
it.
triggered their album by that one dork or something.
Dude, imagine if we got that guy to
Link
do a
it- link it in the
podcast with
credits.
us.
Oh,
Dude, we would
man.
blow the fuck up, man.
And he's a drummer too.
Have
and
me
he
Skype
fucking
in.
sucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a
really?
video of him. It's hilarious. Like, I mean, he's
Where's the
not
dude
like
from?
1 out of 10, but he's like a 3 out of 10.
I don't know where he's. I think he's from like Indonesia or something.
No, it's like
from
it's
Europe,
it's
right?
some Eastern European country. I think.
Fuck.
Who are you talking about?
The trigger guy.
His name's like, no, it's France.
Is this the same guy?
Yes, this is the same guy. Who asked about the triggers?
Oh, I didn't even.
Yeah.
I don't follow anybody.
Well, that's why I'm trying to explain it. But
Oh, that kind of reminds me of
know
like, so
anybody.
now that the record's out, I know you guys already had some like preconceived notions of like which songs people would love the most, or
Oh,
like
yeah.
I've heard you say like, oh, people are gonna hate this song when it comes out.
Yeah.
Has the reaction like proven you wrong, or like how's that?
I'm gonna get a long fucking answer.
Go for
It's
it.
fine. That's why we're here.
Can you re-ask the question?
So when we were making,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
all right.
Yeah, it's different than I thought. But what's today? Is it the June
June
30th.
30th? So it's almost 2 months since it's been out.
Mhm.
It feels like an eternity. It's super it's so like not in my head anymore. And I keep thinking like, oh, well, it's only been like almost 2 months. Like people are still warming up to it, I think.
Yeah.
Like every day has been like an upward slope in like at least social media wise. and I'm kind of waiting for like the 6-month point to really get an accurate gauge on like which songs people like what lasts that long, and then a year too, you know, even if people even give a shit about it in a year, because there have been plenty of records that I've definitely like made a conscious decision not to listen to when it came out because I just didn't like, I didn't want to, I wasn't, or
you didn't want the hype affecting your.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm kind of waiting to see, you know, if people's you know, comments on that change with time. Yeah.
But as far as like first impressions go, was there anything that like, I mean, not that you guys would hear it if somebody did feel negatively about something like in your record.
I heard it.
Oh, really?
I did. Well, nobody else did this, but I'm a psychopath, so I went on Google and I just looked up everything I could possibly find. I went on Reddit. I went on YouTube comments. It was bad.
It was bad, dude.
It was really bad.
I remember
Even if you're
like,
at the peak of your like, I'm feeling so good. That's the worst thing.
That's the
ruined
best
my
time
life.
to look
That and because
ruin your
I mean
life.
it was like it's like 5 years of effort built up, and I wanted to know. And
Yeah, but
on
some
top of
Let's
that,
be honest, it's kind of a shitty album. Let's be honest.
yeah, it's just like that album's okay. It's just like what?
That's the thing, though. You gotta figure you spent 5 years working on this, and some dickhead listened to it for like 10 minutes. It was like, fuck this, this
Probably
guy
not
sucks.
even
that.
You know, it's like,
Yeah,
geez,
right.
30
thanks,
seconds.
you know.
yeah, I mean,
But it's not.
It's no Five Finger, but you know, I guess.
Wait, what was I gonna say?
Because I've noticed, because I watched the video and stuff, and like going through the comments, like for the most part, it's been super fucking positive, which is awesome.
I
A
haven't
couple,
seen anything bad.
couple like
Really?
little negative things, but nothing too horrible. Like nobody's been like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. It's like dumb little stuff where I'm like, they're not paying attention.
Go
What
to
negative
the
things
voice.
have people said?
Okay, well, let me start with this one guy.
I'm curious.
There's if the voice, the title track was so far it's been it's had the least good how the fuck do I say this?
the least
It's had
positive
the
response.
I'm
probably
afraid
had
to say
really?
worst. It's had the worst
track
response.
voice. Yeah.
Wait, which one?
I
Like
know. That's the one with the
track
reverse
voice.
drums and shit.
Oh,
And
okay.
Eddie.
The weirder song.
Yeah, and like
That
if you go
song
on
is
that
awesome.
video, people are like, song starts at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's just like, fuck you, man. I think the first like really bad comment I mean, it's not terrible.
Well-
It like, but it was on Reddit, and it was
Oh,
like
man.
within a week of that song coming out, and somebody was like, "This isn't a song; it's an interlude." I was like,
I mean, well, like to be fair, like that's like not a song that like, okay, to encapsulate this band in a song.
yeah,
That wouldn't be the song that you would like show
Right.
someone first. Like if
Right.
like someone was like, or when people have been like, yo, I want to hear this, like that wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah,
Although
no,
it
no.
is awesome and I like it. But like something like Nightfall Came or We've Been Here Before, like those are like, if no one's ever heard you guys, I'm like, hey, listen to these songs.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's like,
usually the
that's
one
gonna
I
be
do.
like-
I do. We've been here before. Willow and Voice, because it's like it shows a good spectrum of like intense death metal shit,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like more
Weird
avant-garde shit. Yeah, it's
I mean,
like two ends of the spectrum.
little bit of everything peppered in
Yeah.
there.
I will
Yeah.
say, and I don't mean this to be a slight to like anybody at all, period, or like, but
Say it.
it's hard for us. I think one thing that's hard for us being a new band, this being our first record, is that like we're reaching on a platform, specifically the label we're on is catered towards like tech death for the most part.
Oh,
we're not
man.
really like exactly a tech death band, so to speak. And
Yeah,
I
you're
think,
definitely pushing the boundary.
I think
for that
there's,
label.
I think, and I expected this from the get go. Like, there are people out there who just want their shit, like their music fed to them. You know what I mean?
right.
People want it fed to them. People know what they want to hear. And I think those are the types of people who aren't going to understand a track like Voice, or maybe not understand the album because they, you know, it's not fed to you. Like, yeah, there's some songs that have hooks. There's some songs that have the more catchy parts, but still, like, to encompass the whole thing and kind of understand it, like, it's meant to be a record that's not digested right away.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of people that listen to a lot of bands that just are riffs 100% of the time. That's cool
Yeah.
if that's what you're into, but we're just not that
Or just
band.
want those
Yeah.
instant gratification records.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
It's
listen
just
to it, like
that's-
cool, and then you forget about it. In like
all the
6
gimmies
months.
are there right up front, and it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, I mean, how many times there's so many tech death records, like, and sometimes even on our label where it's just like front loaded with like all the hits are like the first few songs, and then it's like, you know, sometimes some bands I feel like it's not even just our label. I mean, just in general with metal, like, you know, how often do people really listen to a metal record front to back in one sitting? Like, it's not really a thing. And especially with bands that like have these songs that are, you know, each like an insane, like billion riffs a second, punch you in the fucking crotch type of vibe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew that there would be negative reviews, and I knew that there would be people that would say some ignorant ass shit like, "Oh yeah, the song actually begins at 2 minutes in." It's like, well, if you were like listening to something that was an epitaph for the last like 15 fucking years, maybe it would make a little bit more sense. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to listen to. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But if that's what you're more geared towards, I don't think that. And I don't mean it's not pretentious. I just don't think they would really understand what we're trying to go for.
Also, I think like voice specifically, like sure, there's a lot of other songs this applies to as well, but like a song like Voice is so contextual. Like when you hear it in the context of the rest of the album, it makes more sense than if you just hear it on its own. You know,
and we've had a lot of people say that too.
Right.
You know, like I've heard people say like, "Oh, I like Voice a lot, the song Voice a lot more now because like I got to hear the whole record front and back."
Yeah.
May I?
Yeah.
Two things. What you were saying about how it's dense, that's also kind of why I'm waiting for the 6 month point, because I know like, I don't know, even the first,
a good point.
like
sending,
you know, PR guy sent out the fucking songs and the album to review people, and it's like a couple days later you get a review and it's just like, I mean, you're gonna write a review that quick? Like you didn't even let it sit in, man. Like, all right, and that's for the good and bad ones. It's just like you just take some time, give it some time.
They're all a bunch of assholes. That's
I mean, a lot of those websites they run on a schedule, so it's like they have to pay
awful. It's just like this album. It gets it's one part it gets really loud, and then the next part is really quiet. And I don't know where the song ends and begins.
I'm actually surprised at how many like online.
I love the foreign reviews that are bad.
Yeah.
I just feel like a lot of music blog people, I've noticed that most of them aren't like musicians. Which
no. That's just like what gives you.
That's usually the case.
How are you the person writing about this? What gives you the like the you know what?
Well, I mean, it's also.
But at the same time, maybe that's a good thing that they're not musicians. Like.
I mean, like, granted,
like,
I think you can be critical, and you have like you have taste in music, right? So you can speak to what you like or what you don't like and why it is that you don't like it. But I also feel like it's strange if you're trying to like digest something like Warforged, where it's like not something where it's like easily accessible or something that people would easily get right off the bat. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like it helps to be a musician in an instance like that.
Yeah.
I
guess
it's not a requirement, but
and feel free. I mean, I don't know if this needs to be chopped out or anything, but if you guys feel that I'm throwing too much shade, please. But like one of the worst reviews we got was from a dude who said that he was like 21 or 22, and his first metal show was Summer Slaughter when we played in 2017. It's just like, how do you? I mean, like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It's fine if you want to write shit, but like, how are you going to be the one that's doing like album reviews and you don't like know that much shit?
Yeah.
And
was it a good review?
No, it was awful. It was awful.
It was like poor grammar and shit. Yeah, it was like literally written by a
did he say
kid.
good things about you or bad things about you?
Bad things.
Bad things.
I mean, anything good?
You know what? I'll say there hasn't been one. The only ones that
I like the foreign one.
Which one? Which one was that?
I forget, but I think it was in German.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
That was pretty funny.
I don't want to think about
I missed
that. The bad ones have all at least had some good thing to say. Like the bad ones have almost all ended with, oh, maybe they'll they have a lot of potential though, or something like really like fuck you, man.
Like come on.
Yeah, but then the ones that do like actually bug me are the ones that are like, yeah, it was okay. Like what?
Right? Yeah,
That's the one that just like
it
it just I don't understand it. I'm not trying to say that the record's awesome or anything. I kind of hate it now. But like I can't fathom that. I can't accept it, you know?
Right. Yeah,
and maybe that's my own stupid brain not being able to handle criticism, but like okay, it's just like And also, I know everything that went into it, so that's probably why.
Right.
That's
hits home a little bit.
Okay,
It was frustrating though.
Sleepless nights I worked
Yeah,
at.
man.
Having the apathetic,
right.
having the apathetic review or reaction is like not what you want. Like,
it's
I
just
want
like,
people
you
to
fucking
like,
missed it,
I
man.
want people to really hate it with a fucking passion. Like the really hating reviews are the fucking best.
Yeah.
And then like the good ones are like, oh, cool, that's great. But like when people like really hate something, like then you're like, all right, this is hitting, this is striking the right nerve.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just like, oh, this is fine. This is just like another whatever like bullshit of the other millions of songs that were
like the very
whatever
reaction.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
But when people are like, oh no, that's fuck that band.
Yeah, because
at least on either end of it, they clearly like went into this and really looked into it. Whether they loved it or hated it, they really looked into it.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody that just goes, meh, it's like they didn't listen to this.
That's
They just
exactly it.
glanced through it, you
Because
know,
the people that hate it, I'm just like, you don't get it, and that's fine. The people that say it's okay, it's just like, there's a chance you could like it. Why don't you like it? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Fuck.
With the work that all you guys do, how often do you guys check reviews? Not like including your own bands, but like bands you've worked with. How often do you check reviews?
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Do you guys do that?
I work with,
That was a great chorus right there. That was good.
The more popular bands in quotation
harder
marks,
shout.
bands I work with, because some of it I look to see what they say about my job on it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Where if it's getting reviewed in a wide enough range, if it's like
How often does the mastering get brought up in a review though? I feel like
very
it's not that
rarely.
often.
People-
It's a very
people
overlooked
don't fucking
like, job.
know.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny how
people think
they
it does
don't know.
more. People don't realize what it does. Like people say like
I think people say
they
production.
don't
more than
understand.
anything.
Yeah,
Right, they kind of
I've
give it a
seen-
general.
I think they
which
just
is
look at
I've
the
seen
whole-
one
yeah.
review. There was one review. I'm not going to name who
Yeah,
it was,
yeah,
but it was
fair.
a band that I didn't. It was a band that I tracked, and it was a review. And like I just like glazed through reviews. I'm just like, okay, this is cool.
Right.
I don't like get super invested in any of that.
Right.
Like I've maybe like 8 years ago, I like went down that path of
right.
YouTube reviews. And I'm like, it just like crushed
eats at
me,
you.
and I'm just like,
yeah. It's like, oh,
I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm just gonna glaze over. And it's like, cool. But this review in particular was like, oh, this like the record sounds good, blah blah, but the mastering, like they just like were ripping apart the mastering aspect of this record.
really?
And the best part of it is the dude who mastered it was like literally like someone that we would all probably know because they've done like they're huge and like really well known. And this band probably spent more. Just as much mastering it as they did recording it,
Oh,
and I was just like,
ripped it apart.
I saw this review and I was just like kind of like, oh, man.
Did you disagree with the review?
You
You didn't say the band. Did you say the band name?
No, I'm not gonna mention anyone else involved with it. Like, it's a rad band and they're friends of mine.
Okay.
But it was just like I just kind of had a face palm. I'm just like, man, I'm like, like I didn't agree with it, and I was also like, how can you tell that was these are
That's
mastering specific
to-
things?
yeah,
Because
that's
like
crazy.
the record wasn't like that smashed or anything like that.
At
It's
that
like,
point, I feel like that guy's just trying
like,
really
It
hard
might
to
have
be
been
cool.
more of like the mix, and they thought mastering was the
It
mix.
could
You know what I
be,
meant?
yeah.
Like,
it could
not
have
to
been
make
some.
you feel bad.
I didn't mix it. I didn't
Okay.
mix it. So,
But not
either
to
way.
make whoever they maybe didn't let that because people think that's the same thing as mastering. They literally think that's what.
Oh,
it
I
is.
know. There's some
Or they
people out
think
there that just, like,
mastering is
don't get it.
But,
mixing.
like,
They
the
think
record sounds totally fine.
Yeah, right.
And it was just
It's
like,
probably
I'm like,
fine,
huh.
right?
I'm like, and also this record isn't like as loud as a lot of stuff. That, like I've, it wasn't competitive. It wasn't like Death Magnetic where it's like -5 LUFS. It was like -7 LUFS or something like.
Sometimes it might be they just don't like the guitar tone.
Yeah.
I find that's what it is. It's like a weird thing. Like, it's like they don't like the guitar tone or they don't like the drum tone, and then they blame it on something else. They just want something to like say, because they don't know.
Yeah, just
feel
using
like-
some
like,
buzzwords.
if they're doing, like, a
Even
review.
musicians I work with, like the bands, us as engineers work with, they don't know.
But like, honestly, like too, like I like the reviews that are just like this rules, and they don't mention the production or
Just like,
anything
this
is that
rules,
mentioned.
yeah.
They're just like, oh, this is cool, blah blah, this blah blah.
That's
and,
what
like,
you want more than anything.
It's like I don't know. I like the reviews where it's just like neutral in terms of production because that means at least for my what I aspire to is just like I just want it to sound like the band.
Yeah,
and it's like
stay out of the way.
I don't want it to be like, oh, this production was killer. It's just like I just want that to be like an invisible thing that just you present.
It's like being a referee. You don't want the attention on you. You're doing a great job at that point. But Yeah, it's not something I really seek out per se, but a lot of times I'm working with friends. So like if a friend of mine posts a review and they're like, "Hey, check it out! I got great feedback about this," then I'm like, "Yeah, I'll check it out and read it." But honestly, I don't really seek it out much. Yeah.
It's not fun. Don't do it.
Oh, I know. Like good or bad.
I don't know. Like
I
I remember, I think it was on Two Demons when we put out Two Demons. Somebody was like, "Oh, this song's great, except for that awful lead guitar." And I thought it was the funniest thing. I don't know. It's just like
That's good that you can laugh at it.
I couldn't like take it personally because I was like, what, who knows what this guy's like listens to, what his opinion of lead guitar is. Like, if his favorite guitar player is Steve Vai, then I'm glad he thinks my lead guitar player is
That's a good
bad.
point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nothing against Steve Vai, but
Take that, Steve Vai.
yeah. Shit.
The worst bad review for my band I ever got. It wasn't even that bad. It was more. It was like a middle ground review, where it was like they're like it's all right, but it's generic and it could be better. You know what? One of those things. But it was funny. It was actually really funny. I was like, all right, this is.
Hopefully it was filled with like typos and poor grammar.
No, it was just
that's even
the
better.
guy was
Yeah.
actually funny about it. He was actually really funny about it. But he was still, the funny thing is where he still complimented us on our strengths.
Good.
He was like,
That's nice.
all this stuff was strong. Okay, you guys could do this better. But then he made these just jokes along the way. It's that page, Toilet of Hell.
Yeah.
That's kind of their thing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's actually funny. I like right now I was like, all right, you're kind of right. That's funny. Like that's pretty good. But it wasn't like I saw his other reviews. He actually like some bands he like actually just trashes bands. And it was
Okay.
like he didn't do that to us. I was like, all right, I feel better about this.
That's nice. That's
So
nice.
his baseline is just trash. And
yeah,
so like,
right.
you guys did good. Yeah.
But another thing, not to keep saying like my own band, but one of the only few things I've really heard about my own production where I've read it in reviews, where it was directly attributed to me, it was like they're like the vocals could use more high end. I'm like, really? Like really? Like
So
of all
specific.
things to like, yeah, like what?
That's hilarious.
And it's like really to most audio engineers I would show, they'd be like, it's fine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like people that professionally knew it was like, I don't know, like that was the thing he specifically, people's ears are different too. People have hearing
Right.
loss too,
Mm.
or if they're not, if they're not musicians or they're just like not even really into the genre even,
Yeah.
but you want to take all the feedback as good feedback. Cause it's like, sometimes it's like, it might be something you're not even thinking about. And you're like, okay, maybe I need to think about like the general audience, like how they might think about this record, whether it's you as a performer, an engineer, or whatever it may be. Like, does this really need a 2-minute guitar solo, for instance? It's like, okay, you can maybe trim some of the fat and make it a minute-long guitar solo,
Mhm.
So even if it's bad and it might make you feel bad sometimes, I always try to like take the best out of it, if anything.
That's probably the healthiest
Yeah,
approach.
yeah,
to this.
right, right.
Yeah, that sounds
'Cause
very
even
nice.
even if it is really, like I said, I haven't really come across too many mean reviews with anything I've been involved with. But like, even if it's kind of like shitty, that makes you feel bad at first, you gotta look at it from a constructive standpoint.
And there's like great records that have been
Unless it's-
canned too.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Like, think about all the great records that like when they came out, where maybe a label put a ton of money into it and it failed at first. It became like a cult legend
Yeah.
that ended up making a lot of money. Not that it matters, but it became very influential on a number of bands. You
Yeah.
know?
Successful
Dude,
in
or
whatever
Yeah,
way.
right.
Like that band Cave-In, like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
when like I remember like I liked that band when they were heavy, and then they
Yeah.
put out like the non-heavy records, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like literally like 3 or 4 years later, I was like, well, actually I like this better. And, like,
Yeah.
these are actually
Yeah.
like my favorite records. Like,
Yeah.
oh, someone got clawed.
I haven't spilled anything yet.
That's good.
Give me a few more of these.
Yeah, those reviews are brutal. It's like
Yeah,
I'm
they can be,
still
for
like-
sure.
I really stopped caring.
yeah.
like,
I want to not care.
Life's too short.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
just
dude, what were you gonna say?
About
reviews are brutal, and I'm having I mean, this is the first album I've ever been a part of, and like I've never been able to just go on Google and look shit up. You know, that's like a new thing.
Do you have the Google alerts on for it? Like,
absolutely not. No, I could not do that. No. So I mean, I'm glad that I did it and everything, but like going through it and just like having a hard time, like figuring out the healthy aspect of it.
Yeah,
you know, I want to get to that point. I'm not there yet.
I think
that's fair.
for me, like growing up being like the metal dude, like, I mean, ever since I was in high school, reading reviews on Lamb Goat, on Metal Sucks, everywhere I could, just like, it's so formulaic to me now. Like, you know, the same term, like the tree trunking bass and the angular guitar. It's like all the same shit. And like,
Angular guitar.
Angular guitars, man.
Once you like realize all the adjectives are the fucking same, and like, and you kind of, I mean, reviews are all subjective. That's all it is, you know? And it's like I put out our record. I did not expect it to get shining reviews from everywhere. I expected it to get trashed in some places, and I expected it to get really good reviews in other places. And I was pretty much on the fucking money where my predictions were.
I feel like metal reviews for the most part are like Mad Libs. Like you can literally
fill in the fucking blank.
Man.
Fill in the blank.
I'm sure some of them just have a dartboard with the words and they just throw it
Exactly.
in.
And like I said, we're like a new band, so it's
crushing.
hard for people to get a grasp, I think, of what we wanted to do right away.
Yeah.
And I think like, I mean, like a band like Opeth, you expect that shit now. Like we expect them to put out another probably progressive rock album as opposed to a metal record. So it's like,
Sadly.
it shouldn't be strange. I disagree. I like their new shit, but
Really?
I like
surprising.
I love Heritage.
It doesn't have
and
slamming breakdowns.
it's okay. I have bands for that. Me and Sanford Parker have bands for that, dude. I came up with this sick ass joke a while ago about like calling out Sanford Parker like and making up shit like, dude, I'm pretty sure I saw Sanford Parker wearing an Amir shirt. Or like, I'm pretty sure I saw Bruce Lamont wearing a fucking Tony Danza flat brand. This despised icon jersey, man.
People you never expect.
Yeah, which is like funny because they would be like, "What? No!" I'm sure they wouldn't, but anyway. But yeah, I mean,
Like who? Who's
good.
Jason?
yeah, right. Like who? Who's this fucking ugly fat dude? But yeah, I think it's just like, yeah, I just, it doesn't bother me. The negative reviews don't bother me because it's just like, oh, I just don't think they get it yet. And
you guys
know,
get any good like Lamb Goat comments?
Oh!
Anything like notable?
I think when we got signed, or when we announced that we were on Lamb Goat, or when we announced the album, and a lot of
the press release,
or maybe it was a tour. I just remember a comment that was like nobody knows who the fuck these people are.
Yeah.
Like who gives a shit?
Yeah, no one
like,
cares.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was like,
it's
oh
just
fuck
like,
yeah. Like I
that's Lamb Goat.
I love that. Like made me feel so good.
Yeah,
seeing that 'cause
I
I'm
like
we
those.
finally did it.
I like those.
Because like I remember seeing that like that type of shit for so many years, and I'm like, fuck yeah.
Shit, I've probably posted that type of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I'm sure. Like,
all
yeah,
you.
nobody
All
knows.
the comments
Nobody
are
cares.
you.
Yeah.
It was me, Austin.
Yeah, it was me.
It could have been Tom. He frequents Lamb Goat.
Yeah, maybe it was him. That's funny if it was. He's been cool though. He said he liked our record.
He does really like that.
Yeah, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, those negative, especially when it's like the negative reviews that I've seen, most of them are from like blogs that look like they're GeoCity sites.
With like saw blades
it's just
on
like,
the side.
and I'm like, who's really going on that website, like reading those interviews or like reviews, and then it's just like, I don't take it to heart. Like I remember one day Adrian sent us one, and it was really bad. It was the saw blade one with like the naked lady or like the cyborg.
That was the young. That was the young guy.
The lady that looked like she was from Fifth Element was on like the sidebar, and it was like neon green and the saw blades. It was like the site looked
That sounds
awesome.
pretty sick.
Like, it was really sick.
Sounds amazing.
But like, it's just like, am I gonna take that seriously? Like, no. Like, it's just like, oh, it's some fucking weird ass site that probably nobody goes on. Because if they did, they'd probably be like, what am I looking at right now? So I don't know. It just doesn't bother me as much.
That's good.
So you guys are dealing with the fame pretty well.
It's not going to your head.
Adrian, I remember. I don't know. I don't want to say it, but
No, say it. We
White
can
Claws
cut.
all the time now.
Can we cut? What are you gonna say?
Do you want me to edit something out?
The day I was, you might, maybe. It's up to Adrian. But the day I was moving to my apartment, the guys came by and helped my family move. And I remember
The date.
I
know which one this
Remember,
is.
I was driving the truck, and it was
Yeah.
me, you, and Alex, and you were telling us, you're like, I'm just gonna make a fucking post
Yeah.
for people to instruct people on how to listen to our album.
Can I say why though? Can I say why?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is why. Fuck. I'm glad that you brought this up because I was gonna mention this earlier. All right.
If you want to edit it out, that's fine.
Maybe, probably. Yeah, let me edit this out so I can speak freely. So this was, 5-6 years in the making. The songs were sent out. I'm just like, I want to review. I want to know. I want to see how this does. I'm waiting. I've been waiting forever for this.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for this moment. And it had been a couple days. It was probably like 4 days. I think he sent it out on a Thursday, and then I saw this. I checked my phone I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 6 a.m. and it was this article. It was like 10 new albums that are coming out and reviews for them, and there's the band at the top. I don't remember what they got, and then we were the second band in the article, and it was like 3 paragraphs, and it was just all. They gave us a 9 out of 10, either an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. But all 3 paragraphs were, it was just like shit talk. Like, oh, I don't like the band name. Voice is also kind of a shitty name too. It should be called something more like Sergeant Chaos or something like that. Didn't make any sense.
This was the first review?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the first one I got. I'm reading. I'm on the. I was literally on the toilet having my morning bowel movement, my morning BM, and I was reading this, and it was just like, I don't like the name Warforged.
Next record, Sergeant Chaos.
Yeah, right. What? I don't like the name Voice. And then literally. But each guitar solo is like a different person. Like it's pretty much like the supercharged, straightforward
They have
tech
3
death
guitarists.
version. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about Equipoise.
Fuck yeah, Whitechapel.
And
Gang signs thrown up when I said that.
The WC.
Yeah.
like it or not, that's whatever. But like to compare our record
You guys sound
to
nothing like
that,
that band, yeah.
it's just like if you're gonna go into listening to the record thinking that that's what it's gonna be, of course you're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
Like, of course not. So after waiting 6 years for a review and that being the first one that I saw, I was just like, fuck, everybody's going to think that's tech death because we're on the artist area. I was like panicking the whole day. And I was just like, fuck, people are going to hate this shit, man. My life is over. But it turned out all right.
Yeah, it all worked
it's
out.
all right.
Yeah.
The big site
but
said
yeah.
really good things about it. So
Yeah,
like
so
Heavy
that's
Blog
cool.
did, Metal Sucks did, Metal
Nice.
Injection did. Like
Yeah.
so the sites that I figure most people frequent, like mostly good feedback.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but that one guy, that fucking cocksucker. Like, why bother writing that? If you liked the album so much, why write such a shitty thing? That's why it bothers
You
me.
have to
I'm
remind
not-
yourself it's one person.
I know,
you know?
but he's a cocksucker, man. Let's
fucking kill him!
Yeah, I want to kill this guy, man. Why'd you?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know,
why
man.
did you do that? Like, I just
His life is over,
'cause
dude.
But do you know what I mean? Like, why bother writing? I don't get.
My dad will. He listens to this
Oh,
podcast
shit.
religiously. So
Dude, that's sick.
yeah.
I was actually gonna send
Yeah.
This
this
is where you
to
should
see
resume
if I
the
could send it
edits.
to
Yeah.
somewhere.
So Jason's dad was at the show. And
Like metal injection
Slam
or
and
something.
PBR is inviting
Yeah.
people.
My dad was fucking
No, but he
chilling
was
hard.
headbanging. I
might
noticed
have
he was
to-
fucking headbanging.
Yeah.
See, not to you guys, to some other band.
Yeah, he really liked Wounds.
Yeah.
He liked them a lot because they wrote a song about muskie fishing. And
Yeah,
like,
he was stoked on that.
Yeah,
He's
my
like,
dad was like, yeah, my dad loves he muskie fishes, so he was like, oh
Fucking
my
awesome.
god.
Fishing's sweet.
Wait, is a muskie a type of fish?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a big long ass daddy long leg
Gotcha.
fish.
Nice.
But my dad my dad is like obsessed with that shit. Like he used to watch muskie hunting shows when I was a kid. So I think the song's
the
called like
coffee?
Mouth of the Beast, and like the singer's like, yeah, this song's about muskie fishing. And my dad was like, oh, his like face just lit up. It was cool.
From Wilson.
Yeah, my dad had a great time at the show. It was cool.
That was a great
Fun
fucking
fact,
show.
my fucking grandparents are coming out to
This is
our next
probably
show. The Immortal Bird record release show.
Nice.
My grandparents will be there, and it's gonna be really weird. But
really weird.
yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna feel the whole time. But if you see,
right.
Dude, I just had my first sip of White Claw.
and what'd you think?
Man.
There you go. Look at that. He's posing. I love it.
Doesn't even taste like you're drinking.
What kind did you get? Or what kind did you
I
get?
got the ruby grapefruit.
That's the only one I
Black
didn't
cherry.
try. I got the
I think
lime.
the lime is the best.
Lime tastes like Sprite. It actually does. Without like,
I like the black cherry too. I don't like the grapefruit as much. Or no, I'm sorry. I like the grapefruit.
I like the raspberry,
black
dude.
I think my name is Kyle
Is
now.
there black cherry?
Yeah, right. Seriously, it's a Kyle. Yeah.
Kyle.
Definitely a
punching
Kyle.
holes in the drywall.
Yeah.
Shotgunning White Claws. Jesus.
But
Put drywall in here
There's
for me to
one.
punch.
There's another kind I tried.
Oh no, brick.
Another kind I tried.
No,
that
you have to
was
go
Now I
upstairs
see
for
why
that.
it's bricktop. Got it.
One of
Such
those
a
gave
Kyle.
me a stomach ache. I don't think it was Truly. It was like I forgot what the other brand was.
Was it Fucky?
It wasn't Truly. It was some other. I was in North Carolina when I tried. I was at the beach. I
Sick.
drank two of
That's
them.
a cool
I
place.
couldn't finish them.
really,
I was like, I'm gonna drink two. I bought this case. It's like it's $10. Fuck yeah.
we played a show in St. Louis, and I got this weird Smirnoff drink that was like a Sprite alcohol thing. It was like a Limerita, and it wasn't that good, but I drank the whole thing. Limerita. Yeah, it wasn't that good though. But I drank it in a bag because I was like, I'm in St.
Nice.
Louis, dude. Fuck it.
Jason?
No, I gotta drive. I'm good.
No, I'm good.
I'm gonna get high as shit when I get home though.
Well, congrats to you. Yeah, I'm not working tomorrow. I'm gonna
Fuck yeah.
I'm gonna
Live it up,
idea,
huh?
man. Oh man, I can't
Idea?
wait to bother you guys about gear and ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got so
Talking
many
about
ideas I
smoking.
gotta ask you
It's
guys
going to be
about.
legal in a couple months. It's
Yeah,
all
that's
good.
true.
I've been bugging Pete a lot already. Now I gotta start this group chat. It's gonna be so great.
Do it.
Fuck, man.
Get some
Yeah,
ideas.
tie them all into it. It's all
Yeah,
good.
dude. Yeah.
We just need a
Can't
dumb
wait.
group chat with like 30 of our friends that we're all like,
Bunch of, like,
you know
gear
the group.
nerds
Yeah,
that,
our
like-
whole group. Like
Yeah,
the,
man.
the 5 bands that are all interrelated.
Oh,
like,
dude,
That'd be
let's do
hysterical.
that.
I don't know why we haven't done that.
Oh,
Gear
what?
sluts.
there you go.
Yeah. Oh man.
They would probably
So
start a
much-
riff
there would be
between
so
somebody
much-
like, no, you're wrong about this gear. Like, fuck you. And like,
I mean, just about just
Just
talking
about
about
anything? That'd be
stupid
good.
shit. Like,
Yeah,
think
right.
about
Like
yeah.
titties and ass and buttholes, man.
Roman Reigns, Something Is Waiting, Warforged Fukari.
oh my God, that'd be
And
great.
Tour.
A couple friends beyond that. Oh, but Baron
What a
Air,
tour!
too.
What a
Pretty
tour
Pretty much
that
that whole
would be.
group.
Man,
like,
that'd be
everyone
so
involved
fun.
with this group too. Like Paul. I still consider you Warforged. That's why I'm saying
I'm
Warforged.
looking into that group.
I'm thinking of like everybody. I'm trying to think of people that aren't in these bands that also hang out with us, like all of us, like that. I
Not
think
too many of them. It's a lot of the bands. Yeah.
Dude, if we
But
all
that
went on
whole
a tour,
group, like
I'd freak the fuck out.
Yeah, that would be so
That'd be
fun.
awesome.
It'd be so
the
fun.
idiots of the
Yeah.
Chicago metal scene.
Yeah, yeah, man.
This is-
Fuck. That'd
It'll
be
basically
great.
be like us and
Might
then
start winding
any of our
down here.
clients, anyone
Yeah,
who
right.
we've worked with.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we're coming to an end here, but
Paul, are you playing? What are you doing right now musically? I know you're playing with a band, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I have like it's me and my drummer and a bass player, and we've got some like demos we've been working on,
Yeah.
but nothing like solidified yet. We need a singer to kind of really get the ball rolling. So
What's it sound like?
it's like sort of like progressive metal, but it has like more of a punk sort of like
Oh,
edge
really?
to it. Like it's fast. It's kind of faster
Oh,
paced
sweet.
sort of thing. Yeah, but it's not like tech prog. It's like just kind of has some weird time signature stuff. So
So would you say it's like? What's it sound like? What could you compare it to?
it's like I don't know. It's kind of hard to like pinpoint it to an
Yeah,
exact
because
band.
we were gonna share a rehearsal space. We were almost
Yeah,
gonna get
I was
that
talking to
space
Jace about
together,
that,
Yeah. But-
It's like sort of riffy, but
It's like math rocky in a way.
it's sort of
you almost say that,
but it's like heavier than that.
It's heavier than that.
Like
yeah.
any Dillinger?
Yeah, but it's
Kinda?
not like spastic or like
Okay.
So like genty in quotation
No, not
marks?
genty.
It's not genty.
Mars
definitely
Volta?
riffy. It's
Definitely.
like
Didn't you say there's some Mars Volta?
yeah, that was like when I first
Okay.
started writing stuff. I was like, okay, Mars Volta sort of at the drive-in, and then it ended up
Okay.
kind of getting heavier and more riffy. So I was
Interesting.
like, yeah, I just kind of went with it.
That's good though. It's undefinable.
Yeah,
It's sick
Right.
too. I don't know if you guys
Heard
kept the
it?
songs that I played with you.
yeah.
They're
played some of
sick.
it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We've
Cool
kind of
shit.
like morphed them into other things, but it's still lots of stuff that you'd recognize.
That's
for
cool.
sure.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, it was really fun playing
I don't know.
that
Like,
stuff.
what would you say it sounded like?
It's almost like, oh man, because this is not my expertise area. I would say it's like Mars Volta E mixed with like Daughters, mixed with like
Okay.
Dillinger, kind of.
That's
But
cool.
with more of like an
sounds pretty
accessibility to it in a good way.
So yeah, because Dillinger's kind of become that where
Yeah.
they slowed some stuff down. It's still the crazy parts.
Definitely.
but-
Yeah.
There are crazy parts, and then there's like a lot of cool hooks. And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
try
oh,
to
this is
make
sick.
it memorable, I guess.
Yeah, it is
So will the
memorable.
singing be screaming or singing?
I was trying to. I haven't decided, but I'm definitely
Yeah.
kind of more of like a shouty vocal, like a punk
Okay,
shouty,
yeah.
like hardcore thing, maybe.
Okay.
Like less like guttural death metal, more like shouty.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
yeah, it's kind of hard to find people though. I feel like
Yeah.
like when you're kind of in a weird niche, it's difficult to find
Right.
people who are like on the same wavelength.
Right. Especially to find that vocal style, it's
Yeah.
hard. Vocalists are hard to find. To find exactly what you're looking for your project, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like so many dudes, like if they are into metal, they're like dudes who do like metal vocals.
Yeah.
You know, they're not
Yeah.
like, hey, I can sing or I can shout or whatever it is. So
Do you know Pedro from Outrun? His other band.
Ferro.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're called or
That
something.
band's
Great.
cool, man.
I don't know
Yeah,
this
they're guitar like
Pharaoh?
what?
That band's cool.
They're
man.
cool. They have there's
That band's
Oh, dude.
cool, man. That
I
was
don't remember
sick,
his
dude.
name. I don't remember his name. The guitarist, singer.
I don't know.
What's his fucking name? man? Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. He's really. I feel like I jammed with him because I was trying to get him to do the Lost Lake song. Him and Franco, and his like. Oh man, I want to sit you and him down in a room together and see you guys play. Oh, I don't want to.
Then that's it. Just a white room and you
Scissor.
scissoring them.
Fuck, man. You two would have a good time. I think. Yeah.
You'll have
Yeah,
to make
and
the
his-
introduction.
And his singing style is very like, whatever you call guy from Mars Volta. Is that Cedric?
Yeah.
Cedric. Yeah, him like that very like higher but
What
like
a sick band,
reverbed
dude.
out. What Mars Volta?
Yeah, I just started listening to them again because I put on Bedlam when I was driving at night, like on tour, and I was like, oh.
Wait, when?
You were sleeping. I was driving. It was when I was driving us
Missed
to like Des Moines or some shit, or where? Not Des Moines,
Oh,
but like
man.
the hotel.
I really want to. I love the drumming in Francis the Mute on Cygnus Vismund Cygnus.
Yeah.
That I can't even sing it. It does like this weird. So cool.
The drumming is also like part of the reason that like the Mars Volta kind of comes to mind is because like Greg, who plays drums, is like a total like shredder, and like a
Yeah.
lot of the dudes in the Mars Volta, like Thomas Pridgeon especially, was like
Yeah.
gospel chop sort of stuff. He's really into
yeah.
that sort of thing, like linear drum fills and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So like he kind of brings like a really interesting like technical aspect to the table that like a hardcore punk sort of project normally doesn't have. So I really like that about it. It's like we all kind of come from different backgrounds. Like my bass player is into a lot of like post rock and like post metal, and like he turned me on to that band Holy Fawn. I don't know if you guys have listened to them. Yeah, like great band, and he's like really into stuff like that, like Baroness, and his tastes are all over the place too. But it's just interesting working with like two other guys that like we really don't have a ton of overlap musically, but we like get into the room and just like make it happen, and kind of ends up with a cool result. So.
Fuck yeah, that band Holy Fawn's cool. Our agent showed me that band.
Oh no way!
Yeah, DeFont showed him to me.
Oh shit, you got an agent?
Yeah.
What the fuck name dropping that shit?
That's cool, man.
Well, I was thinking, you know we.
Hookers and blow too.
Yeah, he does.
Anything you
Yeah,
need, man. he's
DeFonz,
got
if you're
you,
hearing
right?
this, we'll take those hookers and blow anytime now. I've never even met him in person, so I feel weird saying that.
Yeah.
But
It's even more
I'm
Hollywood
gonna kick
now.
his ass.
Yeah. If
No.
It's like
Spencer's threatening people.
I don't know.
got that white claw.
You got that claw, man. Dude. You try to give him the claw.
All right. So yeah,
that's sick.
getting to the end here.
I'm taking some.
Is there? So this is the point where you guys can plug
we're just
whatever
fucking up.
projects you have going on outside of whatever. Anything people need to check out. I don't know who to start with. We'll go around this way. So we'll start with Jason. Anything you got to plug? So
Yeah, we have
got
a
nothing.
show coming up. Well, we just got back from our tour with Inanimate Existence a couple days ago. We're home for the next month. We're playing Lansing, Michigan with Boreworm on July 13th. And then on the 16th, we are playing Empty Bottle with Baron Air and for Immortal Bird's record release show. Nice. So we got that going on. Then a couple weeks after, or probably like a week or so after that, we leave and we're touring with Canada, or in Canada with
you're touring with Canada.
Black Crown Initiate, Inferi, and Veil of Nath. Awesome. And yeah, we'll be gone. That's like a 4-week tour. There's some U.S. dates too, but yeah, if you're trying to catch us in Chicago, come to that Immortal Bird show. That's the place to be at.
Nice. Yep. So yeah, just so you know, this episode will drop on July 8th, Monday.
So there's going to be time for
so
that.
Just so you know, date-wise, whatever you're plugging.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah. I think. Oh, let me think. Yeah, it's perfect.
How about you, Spencer?
Yeah, I play bass in a band called Vocalist Atmospheric Black Metal. We just got our album back for mastering, so that'll be out in the next few months.
Nice.
Hopefully the vinyl will be out in September. The CD and digital might be out sooner, but it might be all out at the same time. We're still trying to figure that out. Besides that, yeah, just
no shows coming up?
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah, July 5th at Reggie's, which will be after this posted date.
Hell yeah, I'll be there. Crimson Moonlight,
which
dude.
is a Christian black metal band, but they're awesome actually.
They rip, dude. Their
really
drummer's so
fucking
sick.
good, yeah. And then a band from Minnesota called Enferens. They're really good too.
Nice.
So that's gonna be sweet. Besides that, we can't really do too much coming up because Jace, our lead guitarist, also plays in Warforged, and they're gonna be busy coming up. So
sorry.
We'll hopefully play some shows in like September or like October or something like that.
Nice. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Pete.
I don't really have anything to plug. Other than,
well, High Priest just came out with an album.
Yeah,
right?
High Priest, my kind of stoner doom band, has a new record out on Magnetic Eye Records.
What's it called?
It's called Sanctum. And it's four lovely tracks.
Nice.
Kind of classic rock doom, whatever you want to call it.
Sweet.
So
Fuck
that's out. Vinyl, we only have a few copies left. And we just finished up recording an Alice in Chains cover. Magnetic Eye is also doing a redux of the album Dirt. I
think I talked to you about.
So we're doing a track off of that. They haven't announced who's doing what, but we're doing a song off of that along with Chemists. These Beasts, who's also from Chicago and on Magnetic Eye. They're rad dudes.
Nice dudes.
And then Bell Witch and
Oh!
it's a pretty stacked lineup.
I love that band.
That's awesome.
And then playing another band with Billiam called Something Is Waiting. And I just remixed and remastered our first full length, which neither of us played on.
Yeah.
But it sounds way better.
Sick.
And that's going to come out on vinyl, I think, in September.
Is Learning Curve doing that too?
Yeah, via Learning Curve.
Fuck
so,
yeah.
Eddie was able to coax them into
That's awesome.
releasing it on vinyl. And I was like, all right, if we're going to release it, I want to
let's do it
remix
right.
it
Yeah.
and do it a little better. And,
What's great you can do that, you know.
Yeah, so it afforded us that chance.
Dope.
And then,
Fuck yeah.
other than that, visit bricktoprecordding.com. Also on Facebook and Instagram under the same handle. And hit us up if you want to get some shit done.
You should do it.
We do mastering,
definitely a place to
mixing,
go.
whatever.
You guys should do it.
And that's about it.
Nice. Honestly, it's like too early for me to really have anything like to announce. Like I'm gonna be working with this band Canyon in a couple months, sort of like a jammy sludge sort of thing. But yeah, I've been doing pre-production with them, but we haven't gotten in the studio just yet. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Are they from here?
Yeah, they're from here. Local
Sweet.
dudes. Yep.
Yeah, I'm anxious for you to get your band going because
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's been a
Waiting for
couple
it.
roadblocks and stuff. So
it happens for
it's-
sure.
we're in a good place now. I'm just
That's
waiting
good.
to get to that next step. Find the right people. So.
Nice. Adrian,
I don't know.
nothing he
I
didn't
don't-
already say, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All of that.
All of that and that's it, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Keep listening to that. If you like the album, keep listening to it, and let us know what you think. Don't let me know what you think. I'm not reading that stuff anymore.
Slipped into Brooklyn, Adrian.
Yeah.
Listen to this, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, thanks for listening to the album. Thanks you guys so much for helping us with the record. Like, we couldn't have gone with anybody better, and that's definitely the truth because we did, have multiple test mixes and all this stuff going in and out, and I'm glad that, and like we said before, it's great that we got to work with, dudes that are family as opposed to just strangers that we've never met before, and I mean, it's cool because it's like, you guys are all sick at what you do. And that's like the best part of it, Like, dude, I don't feel comfortable tracking drums with anybody other than Paul, pretty much. I'm way too scared. And like, Spenser does Spenser's worked on records that I love. So it's like, that's super cool to be a part of that. And Pete is obviously like a grand wizard at things. That's definitely.
I use
I
Pete's
prefer
studio.
different.
It's just like,
Yeah, Pete's
what?
racist on the weekend.
Supremacist.
I'm sorry. Is it the Grand? I thought it was the Grand Dragon.
I think there's both.
Those are two different levels.
Yeah, so you're the Grand Dragon.
I'm the Grand Dragon.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I don't know. It's very cool. We're happy. I'm happy with the way everything came out, and yeah, fuck yeah, keep enjoying.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Send us your money. I'm gonna open a mail order that's just money. You get nothing,
I
but
gotta hit up Tom to see if he wants some merch from you guys because his girlfriend's coming into town.
oh fuck
He hit
yeah.
up something is waiting for stuff, and he was like, "Oh, will you ship to the Virgin Islands?" I was like, "Tom, I can give it all to Alex. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." I was like,
When is she coming?
actually, pretty 2 days, 3 days from
We
now.
have merch.
So, yeah.
I'll send him something too, like give him a CD.
Yeah,
or some
anything you
shit.
want to
Yeah.
give to him, let me know, and I can get to her.
Cool.
That way, it's a little bit easier than shipping out to the fucking Virgin Islands. As far as my plugs, yeah, like Pete said, just
White Claw.
White Claw is number
Did you
one
say
plug.
pizza?
White Claw, give me
What
free
Pete
drinks,
said.
damn it.
Whiteclaw.com.
Yeah,
Natural
something is
wine.
waiting does have shows. I think in like Minnesota and
Who
Wisconsin.
gives a
We're
fuck?
playing, I think, at the Owl.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're playing at the Owl on like some Monday.
No, I love your band.
In
I
Logan
love your
Square?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't know they did shows there.
They do. I saw
Man.
Pelican there actually.
Recently?
That was weird. That was like 3 years ago.
Oh, that is
okay.
weird. That's cool though.
yeah. I'm trying to
I've
think.
done
I have
sound
a
there before too. It's
couple
kinda
of
cool.
shows. Like,
Yeah, you guys are playing it without
I'm
me.
excited.
yeah, we're doing one of those, right?
Yeah.
What's
Which
the date
one?
of that show at the Owl?
I was with Local H at
Yeah.
Cobra Lounge on July 13th or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So I won't be present, so
Where are you
stay
gonna
at
be?
home. I'm going to be in
Where you
Central
gonna be?
Illinois on a nice little family.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Go to Abe Lincoln's house and shoot it up?
No,
His log cabin or whatever?
Yes, actually,
yeah.
that's
That's
I
a dream
wasn't
of
going
mine.
to announce that.
It's supposed to be a secret, Jason.
Damn.
Only Grand Wizard things.
Yeah.
All right, back to that. Central. Hell yeah. Central Illinois.
Hell yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's a real
fuck
stronghold.
Central Illinois. I'm gonna start a
Start a
fucking
page for
feud.
that.
Yeah, I agree.
Fuck
Fuck
Central Illinois.
Yeah, you heard it, guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Like, I thought, like, I was like surprised because like you guys are some of the busiest dudes I know. So like I was
Yeah, it's
shocked.
weird.
I was like,
Yeah,
this,
how did this
Weird.
happen?
We all, like,
It's
it just
nuts.
aligned
Timing.
perfectly
We all work weird
somehow.
hours
Yeah, that's what I'm
and,
saying.
Yeah.
And Spencer, I definitely want to get you back on because I want to do a show that talks mostly about like front of house work and stuff like that.
God.
Oh,
No.
you and a few other.
I'm not
Oh,
the
I
one.
want to. It'd be great.
I'm not
That
the
episode might have to get censored a lot, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. It was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And,
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and
hang
then
out.
I think next week I'm gonna try to get my buddy Ed Bernanas, who just opened up a new tattoo shop up north, Rocket Tattoo, pretty cool place, and have him come on and talk about that. And yeah, that's
You should give a tattoo live on air.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's actually not a bad idea.
You just hear
Jason?
the
Wait,
sound.
give a
You just hear
tattoo?
the sound.
What's up?
Wait, who is
Give a
this?
tattoo?
Who's
You
giving
should
a
give a
tattoo?
tattoo.
Yeah.
Tattoo. No,
I'll
I don't
do
want
it.
to give a tattoo.
Oh, okay. I was like, I
Someone's
didn't know
doing a
that you did
tattoo.
that.
Someone's doing a
No.
tattoo on our show. I'll
I'm
get
doing
tattooed.
a tattoo.
Are you
I'm
not
doing the
paying
tattoo.
attention?
What are you talking about?
I'm doing the tattoo.
No, you're not. It's my show.
I am doing the tattoo.
Our show.
You're not licensed.
Oh yeah. I would honestly let Adrian tattoo me 100%.
Ah, look
Yeah.
at that.
I have
Look at
full
that.
faith that he'd come up with something sick as fuck, and he'd be like, "Trust me."
We might
on
have to
this."
save that. We'll save that episode if I get my buddy Brandon on here.
Are you bringing a tattoo artist on here?
My buddy Ed. Yeah, I asked him about it, and hopefully he'll be here for it. If not, it might be.
If he wants to do a live tattooing of me,
This is
I
it.
don't know.
I
don't have
really
any
hard time
tattoos.
believing
We just set up a
Jason
shop.
would
It'd be
say
fun.
that.
you have a hard time believing me. Why?
That you would let Adrian tattoo?
Yeah. Why the fuck would I
I've
not?
never tattooed anybody.
So
Yeah,
what? That's
so-
even cooler. So you never know what's gonna happen.
You just
Yeah.
press really hard.
And you just
Drag
draw
it
some.
along.
You just draw
Get
some cool
along,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would draw the coolest shit on
I
you.
have full faith that you
and
would.
you would never know what it means because I'd never tell you.
Yeah. So I'd just be like, "What is it?" And then I just tell people it's art.
put the meaning in the songs.
I'm very tempted to make this happen, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll lock my arm.
thank you, everybody.